throughout the whole mentorship, he told us he created the algorithm, and then recently came out in his space and says, no, he didn't. Did he create it? Did he not create
But the
it?
only
That's
thing-
what I thought he did.
If he said all this shit, right, and said all these wild claims and these wild stories, the concepts are dog shit and no one's getting results, right?
Yeah. You can see that there's thousands of ICT traders that don't make money. When I stopped looking at ICT's commentaries and his weekly outlook, that's when I became the best.
There's
I'm like,
people
yo,
that have traded
how are you-
ICT for 3-5 years and they're still not profitable.
That's why I'm not like a cult follower
Yeah,
of
exactly.
ICT.
The reality is, people are not profitable with it.
Welcome everyone to the Words of Rizdom Podcast. We are back once again in the incredible studio, and we are joined by some very, very special guests. The number one podcast in the trading space, the fastest growing, thanks to you guys and the guest. So thank you as always. Now let's get into it. This is the ICT Roundtable. Now there's some interesting things that are going to come out of this. These guys think ICT is a fraud.
100%.
No, I'm joking.
The biggest.
I just needed that for the clip, so now you've seen it. But no, we've got some really incredible things to go into, and I'm excited to see some debates, some different opinions, and also what sort of reoccurring themes across all four individuals we have. So without further ado, we have NBB Trader, Omor, with us today. We have Ali ICT, so Ali Khan. We have Kimmel Trading, and we have JadeCapFX, Mr. Kyle himself, who I've already done a pod with today, so he must be potted out by now, but he's gracefully joined us.
We're doing it.
I appreciate it. I know people like to separate the man. We just talked about that, right? Separate the man and then the concepts, right? How has that allowed you to sort of just stay focused on your trading and focused on, you know, how the trading and the concepts itself can just get you to where you are today, essentially? And I'll throw it over to Omar first.
So I done that, well, when I left the mentorship, I done that because, so the weekly commentaries used to be a lot of, talking about Trump's election and whatnot. No drama is really good. Even ICT, so I separated him from the trader, him as a trader to him as a person and his views outside of trading. Him as a trader, I think he's probably the best to do it. But his drama outside of trading, like what's going on Twitter right now, his past that people like to bring up, I think all these things, they're irrelevant to my journey. Profitability, you're here to trade and, try to find consistency, right? Anything other than that drama, whether it's ICT or whether it's people calling each other out or whether it's any sort of drama, right? It's irrelevant. It's just there to waste time. It's like anything else, if it's things like, any type of procrastination is equivalent of playing video games, in my opinion, keeping up with this drama with these other traders, in my opinion. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Definitely. How about yourself, Ali?
Yo, ICT is like, he's the man, but there's always a love-hate thing with ICT. You guys experience the same thing because, he's a genius. Like, what he's done in the trading industry, I don't think anybody can deny the fact that he's totally fucked the whole game up, hasn't he? But again, it's just what Omar was saying, is you have to separate the man from the trader, the man from his actual concepts and stuff, and we spoke about this on the last pod as well. He does bring drama into it all, and I think, for me personally, as you guys are aware, with me having ADHD and stuff, learning is incredibly difficult anyway, right? So when, say if he was, for example, he comes out with a brilliant piece of gem, right? And I'm like, okay, this is amazing, we're getting into it now. Then he'll suddenly stop and he'll start talking about Trump or something in the mentorship, right? And then I've completely lost what he was talking about, right? By the time he's got to the end of it, I have to go back and I forgot what you were saying. So that constant back and forward, that was so incredibly difficult for me personally. But the problem that he has, he'll be talking about some tinfoil hat stuff, but right in the middle of that, he'll drop an absolute gem. So you have to listen. And I don't know if that's purpose, and he's a genius in doing it. And we were just explaining just how brilliant of a marketer he is as well at the same time. But you have to separate ICT and you have to, the man and his concepts. But you can't deny, whether you love him or hate him, what he's done and now what he's teaching for free is incredible. And it's genuinely changing the lives of a lot of people out there. So you have to take the good with the bad. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And one of the things that I would also add is that so many people, I guess, just find reasons not to acknowledge the fact that he has changed the industry. So it's like, oh, his concepts don't work because he has this belief system. And it's like, no, it's like separate the trader from the belief system that he has. And people are not profitable with it. And so they just try to find a reason as to why they are not able to do it. And if that is because of religion, and if that is because of politics, whatever it is, if that makes me feel better that I'm not profitable, then perfect. Then I'll blame that instead of blaming myself because I can't apply the concepts that he's teaching. 100%. Because the reality is the number of people that have been profitable, consistently profitable, and have changed their lives with ICT has been incredible. Like you can see it on Twitter. We are all on Twitter, and we can see that most people love ICT, the trader. And then with ICT, the man, that's where you have more of that polarization of, okay, some people really agree with it and some people really hate it. And then you have to think about the balance. Like, are you only looking at the trader? Are you only looking at the person? I only look at the trader. Like, I care about money in the bank. I don't really care about what you think. True. I don't care about what your religion is. I just, it is what it is, man.
I care about what PDRA use.
Yeah, so for me personally, at least when he does go on those like tinfoil rants, sometimes at least he'll give you a warning. Sometimes he doesn't. It's okay. Like my wife is bipolar, and I understand that sometimes he can't control that. Like that's just part of his character. And I think me personally, I've been in the game for a long time. You as well. Like it's the most full body of work out there. There's nobody out there that's teaching you technicals, fundamentals,
not even close.
psychology,
even the psychology, and
psychology.
Ridiculous.
The Twitter Spaces
is gold.
Spotify playlist, like whoever compiled that, if you just go there and listen to some of that stuff, it's like that will change the game for you.
I listen to that.
So not only that, it's like it's a full package. So when people are looking at his past and stuff and they're looking at all these things, I'm like, does it really matter though? Yeah. Like, does it really matter if this guy's possibly telling the truth or not about his story, right? Like, the concepts work, but people still think like that we're getting paid to do this podcast, right? Yeah, people still think that these funding companies.
So I have to pay you.
I thought I was getting paid. What is it?
So like, some people think that they're
people saying mine was all set up with the comment that he left on it, and I don't have no contact with him.
But then some people are saying like all these funded companies are just paying these guys to do interviews and give ICT clout. Like, trust me, I've never been paid for an interview. I will show you my bank statements of me spending all his money, expenses and stuff, spending on trips and stuff. Like, it just doesn't add up. And if you see it personally, right, if it's actually working for you, does anything else behind that matter, behind the story, right? If it works for you, who cares?
Definitely. I would say.
Sorry, go.
I
was gonna say, did you find like throughout the whole mentorship, he told us like he created the algorithm, and then recently came out in a space and says no, he didn't.
He didn't say he created it. He said he was a part of the coding of he was on a team that coded the algorithm. I don't think it was
recently. He came out in a space and he says it was just him and God told him this is what you need to do. So did he create it? Did he not create it? But the only thing I thought he did.
But there was a picture posted of him with his old, like those 1990 type square type computers. I don't know if you've seen it. And he's like, this is the thing that I cracked it on. But then it doesn't make sense if you coded it. You know, it's just...
Yeah, exactly. How did you crack it if you coded it?
Yeah, you can't crack it if you coded it.
That's my point.
Likewise,
exactly. So was it reverse engineered? That's my point.
Perhaps, I don't know. But that's the thing. He's an interesting character. Like, you know, some people, like, you could...
That's marketing, I think.
Outside of his concepts, he's a whole discussion himself. Outside of it. Yeah. But the way I see it is like this, he's great at what he does. He's like the Floyd of...
There's like a mystery behind it, right?
Yeah. He's like the Floyd of trading. Like, Floyd... Yeah, he talks a lot of crap. He's so controversial. Like, as a person, I can't stand what he says. I can't stand his voice. But you cannot take away
that polarizing.
Yeah,
right? Like
you can't take
just drawn to
his
it.
skill set and him is two different identities.
It's a prime example actually, because like people, they do that on purpose in terms of the marketing side. Like
Colby
Floyd.
Covington is a good example.
Exactly. Like you be the bad guy because it makes more views, more controversial. But let's say, for example, like you said, you can't stand him, right? But then if you were to want to learn boxing, you'd probably YouTube.
You'll go to him, 100%.
You'd YouTube like how to Floyd Mayweather style, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting thought process. I think personally that ICT is the concepts work obviously. That's why you fought here. 100%. So we'll get onto that in a moment. But the reality is he is a great storyteller, and to be able to get to the wider audiences, to be able to make a larger impact, you have to be a great storyteller, which includes the title marketing, because that's essentially what that is. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, at least the concepts back it up. The difference would be is if he said all this shit, right, and said all these wild claims and these wild stories, and then the concepts are dog shit and no one's getting results, right?
Yeah, true.
But it's the other way around, and that's that's
I think
good.
the biggest thing is that as a mentor, it feels like he's speaking directly to you. If you just listen to some of
He
his
has
spaces,
something that's always very relatable.
yeah, exactly.
But what I do love about him as well, I mean, even though he's controversial, he does not give a fuck about what he says. And I love that because he's alpha as fuck, let's be honest. Like, I love that about him because that comes across in his personality and stuff. And even me doing stuff like this is so outside my comfort zone, like having ADHD, and I've had a speech impediment in the past, and doing this, knowing that ICT has bipolarism, comes out, does not give a shit what he talks about, and still does it. I rate that. I respect that a lot. And like right now, I think I've pissed him off, and he's not talking to me. I've sent him an email. He's not replying. But still, despite all of that, you can't knock the man for what he's managed to do in this industry.
Would you say that because of the focus on the concepts rather than the man and getting into all the drama and the stories and anything like that, that's what's led you to be as successful as you are, rather than you see a lot of these people trying to do both, maybe getting involved in the community and getting involved in all the drama, defending and etc., while trying to learn these concepts, but then where's your attention?
Yeah, 100%.
It was hard for me. I think I got caught up in some of that early, between the whole story and everything, and then you just realize like it's not adding anything to your skill set. So yes, like you were saying, there's a lot of stuff that you have to filter out. Like that's on you to filter out. But because a lot of people have their focus on the wrong things, you got to focus on what is actually going to put money in your pockets, and that's actionable concepts.
Yeah, that's what happened to me, like in the beginning of my journey, where so I've been trading for 5 years. And I started with one community, and I had that cult mentality of, no, this is the only way. No, anyone that says that this is a scam is trash, like this works, whatever. And I was always in that politics of like discussing with you, if you don't agree with the way that I trade, that you are the one that is wrong. But now, coming 5 years in, I started ICT 1 year ago, and I'm just like, I don't really care. It's like, you do you, you do you, I am going to do me.
It's individual, isn't it, though?
Mm.
Trading is individual, so you have to find something that suits you, whether it's ICT or not. I mean, I've always said this, even though it has like such a cult surrounding with ICT, I've always said you don't need ICT to be profitable in trading. It's way more about yourself, your psychology, your mindset, and how you approach trading in the first place. That is what separates the successful ones and the non-successful ones. But you can see that there's dozens and dozens and thousands of ICT traders that don't make money, but they'll still go out and defend ICT that his is the only concepts that work, yet they can't make it work for themselves. So why defend it in the first place? Do you understand? So that cult-like mentality in the ICT space really needs to stop, because it puts people off coming into the space in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So they could have like real success with ICT concepts because they've heard Tom, Dick and Harry speaking about it. Oh, he's crap, he can't do this and that. They can't make it work, but you might. So don't knock it until you've tried it, basically.
I think you see, it depends how obsessed you are with drama vs. There's a balance, right? I think there's a balance. Like all of us here, we have some sort of, or you guys have a lot of social media presence, especially on Twitter. I'm sure you must see it on your feeds, right?
I just create content, bro. I don't read it.
you know when you're just scrolling through Twitter, at the end of the day, you just see it. It depends how you as a person take it in. Does it anger you, or does it make you feel the type of way? Personally, can you scroll past
It's just
it?
emotional control.
Yeah,
They're just like, it
sometimes I read
them.
it.
does,
It's a good read.
yeah.
Sometimes it's even a good laugh. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're just making your whole day about, so Telegram group chats are like a prime example.
nuts, yeah.
I get guys asking me, what do you think about his past? What do you think about this? I'm like, look, you don't have to like the guy. That's fine. Use his concepts. I had a discussion about the other day. I can show you guys. It's actually a funny conversation after about liquidity. And he's like, oh, he says liquidity only exists at the highs and lows, but there's liquidity everywhere in the market. I was like, no, he says there's liquidity. The reasons there's PDO raises because there's liquidity everywhere in the range. It's just some areas are more liquid than others, like highs and the lows.
Banks have told us that.
Yeah, that's because there's more bulk of orders in specific areas in the range. It's not only at the highs and the lows. Otherwise, you'll just see displacement to the high, displacement to the low, right? Like things like that. I told him, your focus here is wrong. You're not focused on this. It's like keeping up with like celebrities online. Those people, if you take some sample size and you see what those people are doing, probably they're not the most productive people. I don't think you find any productive people keeping up with their, having their nose in other people's life and their past and their
100%.
business.
Yeah, so you guys all have like a period of isolation.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, do you know, it was a podcast. I think it was with Riz. I'm not sure because I watch all yours, so I'm a fan, bro. By the way.
Likewise, man.
One of them, you said that like you had your best growth when you cut away, and that was same for me.
I had the same. I had a similar experience as well.
Yeah, so you guys were all like relying on him dropping the weekly outlook and like scratching your neck. Like, where is the weekly outlook? Like,
when I stopped looking at ICT's commentaries and his weekly outlook, that's when I became the best because I was like, I've got to throw myself in the deep end.
Exactly.
And then eventually it started to click and it worked. But social media for me, I personally, I don't like it. Do you know what I mean? I have my own personal like social media stuff that I very rarely go on. And even when I'm on social media, I don't even scroll through my timeline anymore because there'll be something that'll trigger me and then it'll distract me because I got a shitload of work to do, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm here getting into a beef with somebody. I'm like, I don't even know this dude. Here's some keyboard kid on the other side of the world chatting shit. Do you know what I mean? So I've learned, like, it was actually an Andrew Tate quote who said it. I mean, he's controversial himself, but he says like he just creates content and don't consume it. And those people who tend to do that become the most successful.
That's a good way
Do you
to
know what I
put
mean?
it.
That's the way I look at it, right?
In terms of concepts, obviously there's so many, right? There's so many, and I know a lot of people struggle with that fact as well. Was there anything in particular for you guys? And I don't know who to start with this. I'll start with Kimmel because obviously you started a year ago with ICT, so it's quite interesting. Because by now, was it all on YouTube by then?
Yeah, all on YouTube.
So, like, a lot of people struggle with going through those concepts, maybe trying to use all the concepts or finding the concepts that work for them. What did you do?
Yeah, to me, this is what I tell everyone to do, which is look at one mentorship, be it the 2022 or the 2016. I don't really recommend the 2023. We can talk about this because I think that the 2023 is way too advanced for a beginner trader.
He created the 2023 for charters because there's stuff that he relates back to his private mentorship that when you see the 2023 stuff, you're like, it makes sense.
Do you guys still watch the new videos that come out?
Yeah, I watch everything. I'm still in every space, everything I do.
just 2016, man.
No,
2016,
it works, man.
2016 is the best. In my opinion, I think the 2022
Did you upload all
was
the charted models as well?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't do that. Not until
just the core content.
That's respectful.
Yeah.
I was gutted when you unloaded. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was
Everybody's
when he did it the first time. Where is it? I know.
Which model? I think it was video 7.
Mine's month 8. So the day trading.
You
I think
do
it's a day trading model.
Mine's the
module.
universal market maker model.
okay.
I just love that model. It's everything encapsulates in it. I include month.
So you trade every single day.
Well,
then.
I don't. You know what? As I've grown in, as I've grown in maturity with it, my trading, I was way more. Sometimes one day a week. Sometimes I can go 2 weeks without
day
trading.
trading scalping still.
Technically,
with the universal model, the
Anything
problem
can
is like you could literally sit down and find a setup.
Yeah, anytime.
It's hard. So like I try and segment my days and my weeks as much as I can because universal model, it's like you're probably gonna find something. It's just is it high probability or not? Right?
That's
like,
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You have to look at what the roadmap of the economic calendar is going to be.
exactly.
Firstly. So there's going to be just times of the week I'm like, I ain't even going to touch
Yeah.
this. I don't want to waste my mental capital getting in there
On a Monday
trying to
with
wait
no
for a trade.
news.
Exactly. So sometimes you'll get in there, you've been waiting an hour, or you're trying to see the market fluctuate up and down. You're just getting frustrated, and then like me, because I'm so impulsive, I'm like, I need to get paid for sitting here now. So I'm going to take a stupid trade, and 100% of the time when I do that, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
So
and
it
then
just
you're drained, right? Your mental capital is completely drained. The next
100%,
trade, it's like
100%.
So what was the
sloppy.
model you mentioned?
Core content month 8.
And what was yours?
Mine's the market maker model.
What's yours?
Personally, the one that I use the most is the 2022 one.
Yeah, it's a
actually.
brilliant model.
Okay, and then we'll get back to Kimmel somehow. So how did you go through the process?
Yeah, to me, so I started with the 2022 mentorship because it was the most recent one that was out there. And then the reality is what I tell everyone to do, which is go through that and then experience it like consistently, because people don't understand, and you definitely do because you were in the charter, which is there's a reason why the name is like month 1, month 2 in the core content, month 1, month 2, month 3. It's because you're not supposed to go through everything in a month.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
gotta skip to month
exactly.
6
Yeah,
and month
exactly.
7 without going through the first one.
Exactly. You're supposed to learn one concept and experience it in the
Master it,
live
right?
market.
He drip fed that, by the way. You never got access. You never got access to
Exactly
on
that.
another
months in the
level. Yeah,
mentorship.
but this is one of the problems with all that, because I felt he drip fed it so much that now with the information that he's got, if I had this back then, I would have saved myself so many times. The balanced price range, for example, like that was so much later on in like his teaching. I was like, bro, that was a huge thing. If you taught me in the beginning, I would have saved my, like, why is it not going to the breaker? Why is it not going to the order block? Because there's a balanced price range in the way. That was huge. So stuff like that, I wish like he didn't drip feed it.
I guess it's like a fine balance because now the newer guys are seeing like way too much stuff.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
information's like drip fed or
True.
like full on fire hose.
But the newer guys who are coming in, they've got guys like us now who have done it for so long and saying, actually, this is focus on this, focus on this. Like how many times did ICT honestly answer a question that you had when we were in the mentorship?
Yeah.
But
Hardly
I wouldn't completely agree with that, because if we think about self-help books, like this is a quote that I got from Naval. So all the self-help books are basically based on the foundation is philosophy, like Greek philosophy. And that's when I started reading Greek philosophy. And from there on, I was able to understand the self-help much more and just be like, oh yeah, this is like a copy of this, which is, there's absolutely no problem. But I do think that everyone should first go to the source. Then as they have questions, like reach out to people like you, which have mastered ICT.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree
And
with
then go back to the foundations, and then go for Kyle, go for you, go for Khan, go for Omor.
I think that was the biggest problem though, because we had so many questions, but nobody to answer them.
Nobody to talk to.
Nobody.
Yeah.
you know exactly what it was like.
I had an ICT buddy.
But it was like just
An ICT buddy, that's a new thing. Hashtag.
no. But imagine how hard it was just on Forex Factory. Like the forum-based learning system was terrible.
Yeah.
Right? You
It was
know,
like-
like now
How was
it
it structured? Was there a community?
There was no structure, bro.
No, the problem is the feed is so slow. Like they just post it. You know, you post something and then it could be 20 minutes before you see another message. It's just,
Oh, wow.
it's
It
not
was,
like an active feed.
yeah.
You know, it's not a chat room. It's
Yeah,
just
no, yeah,
a
100%.
message board.
It's like we're talking to live support.
Basically, yeah. Do you know when
It's
you're
like
on
talking to live
them
support. Yeah. It's like talking to live support.
Yeah, it is.
Is it the same now? The same setup?
It's closed down.
He's doing he's on Telegram now, doesn't he? But again,
There's a lot of trolls in his Telegram though. There's like a lot of charter members that are trolling in there nonstop.
There's a lot of stupid ass charter members in there.
Yeah.
Some of the questions that come out with
But
it.
charter doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. No,
It's just a time-based badge.
It means how long you've been with him, and like for people who are out there and think, oh, charter student and all that. I know
He's made it, yeah.
some of the questions that they ask still in the Telegram
Because
group.
there's
I'm like,
people that
yo,
have traded
how are
ICT
you-
for 3-5 years and they're still not
it's
profitable.
shocking,
So
yeah.
clearly chartered is just a badge.
Yeah,
but,
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
time-based badge, right?
There's people who've been doing it way.
And they've done
sooner.
it. Some people get in 6 months. So
Yeah, smash it.
That's
They
why I
wouldn't-
think
they wouldn't be
I started to spend more and more time with his psychology rants because he really like kicks you in the ass. Like
Best.
Yeah.
He's the best. When it comes to psychology and the mindset, that the guy, he's an animal when it comes to trading. Like, he's an absolute killer.
because he kind of know, he already knows what you're going through.
Yeah, 100%.
and
He's
everybody's
been
going
there.
through it, right?
he's been through it.
He's been through it.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
been through it. But like the work ethic that guy puts in is insane. Like we run our own mentorships and stuff like that, and trying to get that videos and edit and do all that. This guy just bangs them out one
Yeah.
after another, and then got a 5-6 hour Twitter space. He's a machine. So he deserves everything that he's got
Yeah.
where he is.
And then he's hopping on Twitter Spaces with
100%.
Kit, right? Like,
Yeah.
just nonstop. His poor wife, man.
I hope this is why I hope
Yeah.
that he packs it in. Because She
Yeah.
deserves it.
Do you think he will leave? I know he's alluded to it, but then I know he changed from he said he was going to leave it entirely. Then he's like, I'm just leaving Twitter.
I would hope so, man.
Mm-hmm. I
The thing
hope
is,
so,
right
yeah.
now, maybe not when he launched 2016 private mentorship, there wasn't as many students that are now vocal about it that can teach his concepts, right? That have shown proof. Like when I stepped through, I think I joined in 2017. There was no charter members that like had shown verified proof. I mean, the prop firms weren't even around.
But
so.
even we were all pretty clueless. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. Like even if I was asking other charter students at the time, like, "Oh, I got a question," well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you were literally pissing in the wind a lot of the time.
I think it's because there wasn't the weekly commentaries there were in 2017, like 2018-19 commentaries. You know, I think the meat of the learning was always in the commentaries. The
Yeah,
core concept,
100%. The core concepts
the
were
static.
good.
You know, I think you can make any concept look like. So a lot of people say he only makes the concept look like they work in, you know, in the past. Like, oh, so this is the fair back, but. You know, his
Over time, right?
daily logs, weekly commentaries, he done it in real time as
I
well.
think from
That's
like
what it is,
2018 to 2019 or something, he was calling for a fair value gap to be traded to on the euro, and it was literally just it took like a year and a half to get to.
It was the DXY daily when COVID happened, right?
I think it was before COVID,
Okay.
but it was just slowly drifting lower and lower, and you just kept calling it, and I was like, all right, it does work. It's just I was mis-executing in between that.
Yeah, true.
You know,
He even said in his charter teachings, though, that the whole of his core content is based on the market maker model. He says, I'm taking that and I'm showing it you individually month by month, and that's why I use that now. But a lot of people argue and say he's got an excuse for absolutely every move, price fluctuation in the charts. He has. When you understand it to that sort of level, every single candle you can predict before it's printed, because you understand how the PD arrays are basically, they're like ladders. And if you understand where your liquidity pools are, where your inefficiencies are, every single array you can technically use in price to key off as an entry. So he has an entry for everything, and that's why he's got 81 models.
What about playing devil's advocate here? Does he have so many concepts that you can see a price in hindsight and be like, oh, this worked? Or does it actually work?
It does it in real time. When you see his execution videos, and a lot of the times he's not pointing why he's executing there, but you can probably understand it enough to say, I can see exactly what he's keying off. And he's not just looking at, like, if you're looking at just the left side of the chart and you're looking at the candlestick directly to the left, he's not just looking at that. He's looking at candlesticks way to the left, right on the other side of the chart. And that's where I think my trading really heightened a lot more when I realized that actually if I can combine different confluences and arrays right to the left of the chart and then use that on the right side, and that's essentially what he's doing. But he's also using other things. He's using deviations in price. He's using algorithmic structure in price.
But you see the thing with trade execution videos as well, because I don't know if you guys see my Twitter page. I just post like a video with a soundtrack, and I just log off that. It's very misleading sometimes because it doesn't show the narrative that you're using on the daily for whatnot. You know, like if you're using a previous day's high, low, whatever sweep it is, you only just see like that short snippet.
You need the narrative. You know, it just seems like we're just going in there plotting the PDF and taking a trade.
But you probably do it yourself. The narrative on that 5-minute chart, you're also looking at stuff
Monthly,
like seasonals,
weekly,
monthly, weekly. You're looking at what the bonds are doing. You're looking for SMT divergence there. And then that's going to give you, okay, well, it's going to give risk on versus risk off. But we're looking at tons of things, quarterly shifts, where we are in the up-to-date ranges. So
it's graduate. It's graduate level.
Oh,
do you look into it in that depth, like the bonds and everything?
Yeah. I mean, not as much like quarterly.
What about the
No.
Yeah,
I don't really use COT. COT's a little bit lagging, right? Because the reports come out, you know, what is it, a couple days after they've actually
I only
taken
look
the
at
numbers?
COT when I'm looking at like seasonals in confluence with an SMT divergence between different market structures, but only like on a say
I
like
fall
daily or
back to the
weekly.
COT if I'm kind of stuck on like a monthly.
Just for a fundamental basis.
Yeah, that's where I'll fall back to. I don't use it like on every single report.
All of those tools should only be used as confluence as well. Right. It's only people who trade SMT.
Right, but some people will take the COT and just like full margin.
You know, it's true.
And they're going to be a drawdown until the seasonality kicks in.
That's where I would ask, are those like seasonalities, and this for everyone that is trying to learn ICT, are the seasonalities, the COT, the IP, the ranges and all that, which I personally in the beginning found way more like complex. That's why I stick to way more simple terms. Do you think that's essential in order to become?
You can do it. You can use an absolute most basic, simple model like
Silver bullet.
the silver bullet, like what he's teaching his son right now. That's extremely simple. It's time based, and you're just basically keying off a fair value gap. In my opinion, when you graduate to like higher levels of it, you want to position yourself in the best probability sort of time frame, right? And ICT has already said that himself, he refers to seasonal tendencies first. Before, if he didn't know anything, he'd sit down and say, right, let me use that seasonal as a roadmap. Because you got so much data, and this is another thing, like, and Kit talks about this a lot, is collecting data. So when you've got the amount of data that says, okay, well, in this quarter or in February, March, this is what we're expecting to happen, and we've seen 15, 30 years worth of data
like the
to
Santa
back
rally,
that.
right?
Exactly. So if I'm like, okay, May, generally, we're going to see a sell-off in the pound. So I can look at the past data and say, well, this happened. Some years it's not going to. When it doesn't happen, that gives you extra insight as well, because then it's when you get some real mega trades is when you're looking at.
Essentially saying we have to build a story around the trade I'm taking.
Exactly,
you know, like the silver bullet is just like plotting it.
This is what I can't get that point across to every. The entries are the last thing. If you understand where the market's going and you've already done that top-down analysis, your entries can be sloppy. It doesn't matter. You're still going to make money.
When I day trade, right? So I work inside like a daily, right? Is it going to be an open high low close or open low high close? If I can't nail that, by the time I'm at the session, because I let the London go, because you can be in quite choppy, then London clears that up and it's previous days lows taken and we're displacing, we're going higher from it.
Keep it very simple, right?
Simple.
Like
Something so
daily
simple.
Judas
I just need to know.
You don't need. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to go. But like, as you're developing, I think everybody should start small, and then you should develop.
You
on
get
that.
curious, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're like, I'm missing a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
Like I'm seeing the fair value gap, but I don't feel confident because I'm missing something. Like, what is the market sentiment? What is the market structure? Everything else that's going on behind it. It's like you want to add that layer of confidence. 'Cause I don't feel confident just taking one concept and just slapping a trade on it.
It's even like that fair value
It's a
gap.
blending though. It's not meant to be easy.
100%.
It's harder than just using a model, in my opinion. Look, there's so much content for a reason, because trading is complicated. Whether we like or not, it's not something that we can just use this and I wish it was just as simple as an OTE, right?
Yeah.
But you need to factor in a few things. Like me personally, weekly profile, daily profile, to me that is the meat.
Yeah.
That is like, if you can
when you
nail,
see that just repeat over and over and over again.
If you can nail with the economic calendar, the weekly, because what Forex Factory tells you is the day that you have an event, and then the time of that day there's an event, and then you can say, okay, where am I
in the Bank of Japan?
Where am I in the AMD, right? Where am I in the AMD?
Exactly.
Given
If you
the
blend-
roadmap,
if you blend market maker models with that,
Exactly.
it
and
just
then
changes everything.
okay, there's a news event on Tuesday. Okay, Monday clearly done manipulation, so it's Tuesday going to bring in distribution. Everyone thinks that red folders are just manipulation. It can be distribution. It can just be
exactly.
distribution.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can be distribution as well, right? This is the thing people understand.
If the manipulation happens before the red news event,
Then it's going to be distribution.
Then if it's manipulation's already happened before the news driver, when the news comes out, this is
going
why
to your target.
Exactly.
It's all about,
Exactly.
to me, it's like I see like a mental skill, because so I have someone that kind of is like a coach now type thing, and he tells me like, look, it's a scale. Is it going to tip to buy side or is it going to tip to sell side? And that's the first thing. If you can't favor a one way over the other way, just chill out, right?
Yeah.
And then all I'm doing now, because once I have an expectation of the daily, every time frame under that is going to build the daily common sense of the fractal nature of the market. Once you have a bias, right, you have an exact expectation. Am I waiting? Because this is the thing that I detest about 15-minute, 5-minute traders with no narrative. Are you expecting sell side manipulation or buy side manipulation? You personally, you won't know that unless you have some sort of roadmap from the daily or even the 4 hour. Because say I'm bullish on the daily now. Okay, I'm waiting for offset accumulation. I'm waiting for the run under the low, the displacement, market structure shift, if that's your model, fair value gap. It's that simple. Once you need an expectation to see on the chart, you get the expectation from some level of bias, whatever time frame you like to use for direction, and then you're just waiting for some stage and price on the low time frame. It's your Q
You said the key
entry.
word, waiting.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to wait. Like, why are you rushing into this trade?
Should I
Do you
trade?
understand?
Should I trade to the PD rate or should I trade away from the PD rate?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I'm
It's
trading
like-
Sunday open.
Market's open.
Yeah.
I think everything that you just said, you nailed it. You have to have a roadmap in terms of what you're looking for. And the majority of the time that we're going to do as traders is wait. Man, that was hard for me to do. I'm not going to lie. That was the hardest part for me.
What
was
made it easier
waiting.
for you?
Making it easier for me was narrowing down my time window. So I started thinking like, if I trade EU and GU generally, and I have my own silver bullet time zones in there is 3 a.m. till 4 a.m. for London and 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. for New York. And the macros that run in there, and I know what I'm looking for. And if I'm looking at, say, the market maker model, and let's say that's universal, and I've already had, say, a manipulation event that's happened, I know where I am and what stage in the accumulation or
Do you ever
redistribution.
take like a low risk buy or sell?
Yeah, so I can take it from the very, say if there's like equal highs and above it there's a fair value gap.
The total sweep.
Yeah, so I can take a small entry. I won't put my whole position in right at the top. And then when I get my change in state of delivery, I can go back into my order block for my low risk sell. And then I've got my first stage distribution, second stage, and that's a silver bullet. Essentially, like ICT says, if he could only trade one, he would trade the second stage of distribution.
I think it has the most confirmation behind
It's
it.
sick. But this is what I would always say. If you're looking at fair value gaps and building on that point of like, you should always like build on what you're doing. Start with a fair value gap is very easy, but I would always say pair that fair value gap with one other array and your trading will completely change, whether it's a breaker, whether it's an order block, a mitigation block, balanced price range. Look left, just stop looking at that one candle and say, oh, it's a fair value gap again.
Like you notice a lot too that I mean a lot of the PD arrays will line up with other ones.
Right? That's the best ones.
With
Mitigation plus
Fibonacci retracement, there's like a volume imbalance that's laying in premium or discount. You're like, all right, it's going to go there at some point.
Yeah.
But
But
that's why-
also from like the higher, the top-down analysis as well. If you look at the lower time frames, this is something that I struggle with massively, and a lot of my students have said this one thing that I said to them helped them massively was only keep your weekly and daily levels on your charts. And when you go down to the lower time frames and the PD arrays that you find that blend with those weekly and daily levels, that's what you want to key off. And when you blend that with time and you understand which stage of distribution or reaccumulation you're in, it's gold. You pair that with SMT divergence with something else. There's your A+ setup, and then you want to go full margin, do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I tell people, so people that come to me and they struggle with which PD array should I use here, this and that. What I kind of tell them is just look, if you're struggling and you can't, just really like gravitate towards one PD array, fall back to an optimal trade entry, because it's not focused on a PD array, it's focused on the
swing.
Like on the swing. So you just need to find like a
Find a
well-graded swing.
PD array inside the optimal
You can,
trade entry.
but even then, you don't need to focus. It takes the attention away from the PD array and onto the 62 to the 79. So all you need to find is a graded swing point in line with your likely direction, and then just wait till it gets to 62, and just hit it. And I think it's the most, it takes the least effort because it's very mechanical in the sense of where your stop loss is going. It's going out. It's going to go at the 1.
Yeah,
your take profit is going to be at least the 0, or you can use some level of extension, and you're going to enter within the OTE zone. It takes a lot of stress away from over confirmation. I really like it. I was even going to make some YouTube channel about just the optimal trade
I
entry.
started with
For
like
me, a lot
trade
of times,
entry,
like my best trades, I don't, because a lot of students ask me like, what was the confirmation that or did you wait for confirmation? A lot of times, I'm not waiting for confirmation. I'm like touch trading the level.
Yeah.
So I'm entering the trade, and then it's confirming that I'm correct after it's moved my
I do
direction. Because a
that,
lot of
yeah.
times,
I do that.
once it moves away from you, you've already missed your
I
fill.
know. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's why I take a small position right at the very top. And then when I've had a change in state of delivery, I know, right, okay, now I'm most likely on side, and then I enter again. I'll pyramid until 50% of the range. If below 50% of the range, I won't pyramid. But I know that I've already got positions working in my favor because I entered early. When you're waiting for confirmation sometimes, and I would strongly suggest as a new trader, wait for confirmation, right? I strongly suggest that. But then build, and you can layer into that. But you only have to start with something really small and basic. 1-to-1, 1-to-2.
I disagree with it. Do you know why? Yeah, I think your entry is your entry. Like, waiting for the confirmation. So like silver bullet, fair value gap. If I get missed, I get missed. I'm not going to lower my standard of my entry. I had a conversation with a friend, and he was really kind of finding it hard. I was like, bro, the way you have to look at it is this, yeah. You have standards for someone that you want to be your partner. Are you ever going to lower your standards or change your goalposts? He's like, no way. I need this, that. I was like, your entry is that. Your entry is, you're not going to settle for less. If you miss it, you miss it. The only reason is because everyone, well, I hope everyone, they've back-tested their model and their entry. And the only reason everyone, right, and I think this is, that you can't disagree with this, you only run with your entry and your model because you've seen it work so many times.
Yeah, so many times.
Otherwise, you won't run.
Like for
That's the
me,
point.
the turtle soup just doesn't work because I've lost too many trades.
I
with
love
it.
the turtle soup.
But now, the one that you're running with, you know it works.
Yeah.
So just wait for it.
Right.
It's just you're getting in the way. I try to say all the time, remove yourself from the equation and just trust the plan.
I think that's the thing is you got to find confidence with something that works for you because turtle soups don't work for me. They work occasionally, and sometimes they end up being great trades.
They're the best if you can
when
get.
it's
I
taking
use
liquidity
that
and it's taking the next level liquidity, and then it's like
but that's why the graduation is that I didn't
Previous month,
start straight out the box with turtle soup. I started with my confirmation. Then I understood, when I started understanding the market maker models, I understood where my entry points are going to be. And eventually the very peak was the turtle soup.
Right.
And then from there I was like, okay, if I get a small position in here and then I get the change in state of delivery, I know that I'm most likely on side, especially if in that order block range, I go down to a lower time frame and I pair that with a fair value gap. And it's even better if it doesn't go back to there because now I know, okay, this is a breakaway gap. Now I know where I'm most likely in the range, and as I get my first stage of distribution, if it doesn't go below 50%, if it goes below 50% of that initial consolidation where my target's going to be, I know I'm likely to get a second stage of distribution over here. That's how you can tell the difference, and ICT just mentioned this, is that's when you can tell the difference if it's going to be coming down in a market maker sell model just to accumulate and go long again, or we're going to run that initial consolidation, the liquidity below the lows. So when you start structuring it out and know, okay, around this stage I'm likely to get the breakaway gap, at 50% I'm likely to get the measuring gap, then you start doing your deviations in price, and when they start aligning with higher time frame arrays, you literally, like I call it
full margin now.
Well, you can, it makes trading so much more easier because you can anticipate where price is likely to go before it's going to go there. And you can do that with the information you already have in price. Like within a market maker model, I call it the SDR and the BDR, so your buy-side delivery range and then your sell-side delivery range. I can already anticipate my buy-side delivery range and how high price is going to go to before it gets there. So when I see my gaps forming where I want them to form, you can know where they're going to form before they're going to form. So when I get there,
it's experience.
Yeah,
It really is.
it's like, you know,
it's
when you're
retraining your brain.
when you're on the distribution side, so let's say market maker sell model, when you're on the sell side of the curve, you know these up candles, the down candle before the up candles is going to be a mitigation. Oh, and that's going to be an order block. The up candles, right? It's just it's just from experience, you know. Okay, I've seen it so many times where clearly sell side delivery. This is where you kind of start fading up candles, but kind of begin to do that.
That's the hard. That was a hard thing I had to learn. Was really like selling into up candles.
Yeah. Well, it's
or buying into down candles.
If you're on the left side of the curve, if you've got the down candles, you've got your breaker, then below that you have what I call your distribution blocks. And why I label them as that is because you can understand that the market algorithm is so damn efficient that it's going to take liquidity, mitigate, and then run for more liquidity and rebalance all in one go, which is why literally that's how the market maker models work. So I'm asking myself the questions: have we mitigated? Have we rebalanced? Have we run liquidity? And more often than not, if we've had like one delivery and I'm like, well, we still haven't mitigated in this area and there's still a fair value gap that needs rebalancing, it's most likely to run up to that area first before it goes back down, and that catches a lot of people out. It was one of my things that always used to get caught out in the beginning. So when you understand the stages in terms of that distribution cycle, it makes trading again like so much easier because you know where you are in that stage.
One thing I've done with that as well, so talking about like the fading of like up candles, people that don't know what fading means just doing the opposite, so setting the up candles, using sell stops. Sell stops on, so when you're clearly like, you know, bearish and it's just you're getting a failed swing, just put a sell stop at the low of the range because you're going to kick through that range, and essentially you're waiting for the break of that low. A lot of what people do, they wait for that break to low, and then they say, okay, this is an order block now, let me wait for the retracement to it. But a lot of times retracement doesn't come. So instead, just put your stop order there. So when it kicks down it, you're entered in, put your stop loss let's say price was going to retrace, right? You're going to enter where your sell stop was anyway. Where are you going to put your stop loss for that order that you put the sell stop in? Put your stop loss at the high above the order block, and then just your normal take profit. You won't really miss a lot of trades with that. It's just a thing with, it's the pros and the cons. You know, it's you could get wicked and then you don't have that extra confirmation. But you know, there's no perfect entry. Like these are some of the things that you're just gonna have to swallow that hard pill. It could happen.
You don't need the perfect entry.
You don't, that's what I'm saying. Of course, you have. This is the reason you have a risk to reward for a reason, isn't it? That's the reason you have a risk to reward. You don't need to be right 100% of the time. You know, even
ICT isn't right 100% of the time.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's what I noticed with the weekly commentaries. I would be sitting waiting for the weekly commentary, and then when it came out, I'm like, all right, this is exactly what the market's going to do. Yeah. And you would see him get it wrong. You know, not very often. Not often. But then over time, it's like you start picking up all these things and you start seeing it on your own. Because you kind of already understand what he's going to talk about in the weekly commentary. That's when you know you've graduated a bit.
What was a big boost for me is like when he would get it wrong and I'd get it right, and I was like,
I'm better.
Oh shit! No, obviously not. But it was like he was like, oh shit! I stuck to my balls and I said, right, I believe that it's gonna do this, even though my mentor, and he's the best out there saying it. When it turned out like that, for me was like, right, oh shit.
You can do it independently.
I can do this independently.
When you become a critical thinker, someone can have their opinion. Exactly, okay, that's your opinion. I see this and this and that. You know, that's when you know you graduated.
Yeah, I think a lot of students like they could lessen the learning curve if they just isolate. You got to just learn how to think on your own. If you're always looking at somebody else, you're always gonna.
It's like if
you take a win or loss, like you're always gonna have something attached to it. Yeah. Like if I follow your trade, whether it's a win or a loss, like I'm winning or losing because of you, right? That's my, I guess that's my result. But if I make that decision on my own, now all of a sudden I'm actually learning from that decision that I make.
Yeah, absolutely. That's normally what I tell people to do in general when they are trying to learn something, which is, let's say I want to learn from you. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to join or follow you on all the platforms, whatever it is. And then I want to become as close to you as possible in your weekly commentaries, whatever, which is what all of you did. And that's what I did for the whole amount of my journey. But then, as Kyle said, when you graduate is when you don't need the commentaries anymore. And then you start becoming your own trader. But first, You need to become as close as possible to your mentor because he's the best to ever do it in your mind. And so after that, that's when you graduate, and that's when you become your own trader. That's when you go about your day. That's when you isolate, and you don't need the weekly commentaries. You don't need anything because you are your own trader. So
it was understanding the narrative of when ICT would break it down and his internal dialogue. For me, that was better than anything. Core content, his models, was listening to him. Why price is going to do something, and more importantly, why isn't it? Why shouldn't it reach that level again? There's an area that's already been rebalanced there. Highs have already been run. We're already in the sell side delivery of the curve. Why do we need to go back over there?
That's why it's like somewhat of a cult, because all the ICT traders that I know that are somewhat profitable or consistently profitable are either in the same trades or they're asking the same questions. Right? We're all thinking the same. We all hear him in our head.
But that's why I think we do well.
We do well. Yeah. But because look who we've been taught from. He's the best to do it. So when we've had him teaching us, I've got his voice in my I've watched so much down. Man, I sleep, I can hear ICT. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
I would hate that.
Not even
that's trauma.
It was a bit creepy.
Yeah, you see in the meme when the guy's like listening to ICT sleep, and he's like,
I'm falling asleep listening to his stuff as well, though. I've been with my face on the keyboard. I'm woken up, shit, I'm still going.
Screaming at you.
He wakes up. Have you seen that meme? That's 100% ICT.
Would you say though, having like, obviously, in terms of psychology in trading, obviously there's like the technicals and there's psychology. Would you say though, having a very in-depth knowledge on the technicals actually aids then the psychological aspects with the discipline, etc. Because you have the data and you trust those technicals to a T.
You have to trust the technicals, because then otherwise your psychology is fucked.
It's the fear of the unknown. I think it's the fear of the unknown, because the only reason you have a psychological issue is...
Let's take a break for a minute there, guys, because I want to tell you about the best trading tool on the market, TradeZella. The reason why TradeZella is the #1 trading tool that every trader needs is because you can do backtesting, automated journaling, trade replay, in-depth analytics, and so much more. And the greatest part about TradeZella is that it's all automated. All you have to do is connect your MT4 and MT5. It will pull all your data onto the dashboard. You can add playbooks, you can just add notes, you can add images from your trades, and you can get the insights that is necessary for you to progress as a trader. Now, TradeZella is for absolutely everyone. Whether you're a crypto trader, whether you're a Forex trader, whether you trade prop firms, it is for absolutely everyone. And that is why thousands of traders have signed up using my link here through the podcast. Make sure you use the code RIZ10 for 10% off your monthly subscription, or WOR for 20% off your yearly subscription. The link is in the description below. And let's get back to the episode.
I tell people all the time, they come to me, I have a fear. Okay, how many times have you tested your plan? How long have you back tested? How many have you collected? How many times that? What's the win rate? Do you know how many times? Because now, if you haven't done that, you don't know if what you have works or not. Yeah. It's like, imagine going for
deer in headlights.
Imagine buying a semi-rusty car, and you don't know, okay, you haven't even test drove it, and now you're, okay, here, drive it home.
The engine falls.
How are you going to feel about driving that car home? You haven't even done a test drive yet. Do you see my point? I think I read somewhere, right, and I think every single fear is from the fear of the unknown, just because you have comfort when you know the likely outcome. You don't have to know the exact outcome, but it's like preparing for anything, right? If you have an exam, so like when I was studying, right, I was very confident. Why? Because I studied. I put the hours in on my my A levels and whatnot, right? So I was pretty confident. Other people, they weren't so confident. Why? Because they just know that I haven't done enough past papers. I don't know what.
They're still going to take the test, though. Yeah. They're still going to guess on it. That's exactly what trading is, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You're still going to take the trade, but you're not confident.
And we're always operating in this grey area. But what's happening is that like it comes down to, and the best thing with ICT is you can filter out those high probability trades and the low probability trades. Every single one of us, when we've taken a trade, we do not know 100%.
Like right now, the bonds and the DXY kicking together. It's like,
it's mad. That's what I'm saying. That
very low resistance.
When we're in in coupled or decoupled markets, I'm staying away from that because I know like my win rate in this sense is in these conditions, especially with what's happening economically at the minute around the world. These are the hardest times to trade. And ICT himself has said that this is the hardest times that he's ever traded in his 30 years. So why is people are expecting that they're going to get this overnight in the hardest conditions?
You know when he said that, I don't believe it. Do you know why? Because I think it's just a confidence boost. I'm not saying he's lying to us like for a malicious reason. I think it's just a confidence boost on the students. Like, you know, keep going, don't give up type thing. Is difficult right now.
I find it. Because
I had my most, I'm by far I'm not the best trader, but you know,
I think just like the geopolitical like turmoil is making things a bit difficult.
I'm just in my own personal experience. I'm coming up nearly 8 years doing this. Is the markets aren't moving in sync the way I like to see them. Because I'm at that stage where my intermarket analysis is the first thing that I do. I'm looking for things to move in sync. So I'm looking at bonds versus the yields versus the IB index versus dollar index and using that to...
And you think gold would be ripping during high inflation?
This year was a lot tougher. If you look at the DXY, the bonds, so it was a lot of consolidation. I think last year was just one-way trend though. DXY was upwards,
right?
Foreign was downwards. I don't know why people, you know, of course, everyone's expectation is different. Me personally, I wasn't really struggling because that daily, the weekly, it was just one way, right?
I talked about a lot. I was just short. If you're just short foreign currencies last year, is one-way trade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was a short, but then I only got comfortable taking shorts. It's a thing.
It can happen. You get used to it. You can get used to it.
Kimmel, do you look at the bonds or anything like that?
No, I don't look at the bonds. I mainly look at the divergences and the fact that the DXY moves in line with euro dollar, pound dollar. So I mainly stick to the FX pairs. I pair that with the DXY. I've tried looking at the bonds.
If you just do yields versus DXY.
I've done yields. I do yields.
US 5.
When you hear all these things being thrown out there, what do you think? Do you feel like I need to dive into that, or do you feel like, hey, I'm cool?
No, because it's a graduation.
Exactly.
You'll get to that stage. When I first started, bro, I thought every down close candle was an order block. I'm like, what the fuck? It's not working. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, your shit doesn't work. 7-8 years later, I'm like, bro, when I look at my old notes, I'm like, laugh to myself now. Like, I had no idea. So you don't have to, just because other people are talking about certain things, you have to go at your own pace. And this is the problem again with social media, is that we're looking at everybody else. You've like had a win today and you made £50. And all of a sudden you're looking online and somebody's made 10 grand and suddenly your win feels insignificant. You feel shit. So stop comparing yourself to everybody else. You go at your own pace. Whether it's, the first thing I say is like, give yourself at least 2-3 years to do something. Figure out who you're going to be as a trader first. Figure out what trading style suits you and then go from there. But you don't need to look at what everybody else is doing.
Online, you see Gene and Kyle.
I'm like, I've had a good day. I see Kyle's numbers and I'm like, oh, fuck.
So what do you think though? Like,
not even.
It's Photoshop.
In terms of your journey though, like, you know, how when you're hearing all this, like, what are you doing? How are you staying focused on your journey?
I don't know. I think I've just found success yet. There was one thing that happened, which is I found success with ICT instantly. Like, I've been trading for 4 or 5 years, and I think that the processes that I have developed ever since the beginning of my trading journey has led to, okay, now I'm learning ICT and I can be profitable instantly, because not that I paired it with the other things that I was doing, but
your mindset's different.
I've seen so many 1 hour candles, 5 minute candles, 15-minute candles that it once everything was started to being explained to me, not only by ICT. We also had Gene meeting Kyle, seeing your Twitter too. I was like, yeah, this all just starts piecing together. And so when I see people being like, oh, I don't know what to do with the bonds, and I'm like,
you don't need to focus on it right now.
You need to focus on daily bias, weekly bias, as you said, the market profiles, and
market structure, like
Judah swings. All of a sudden, you can do it.
In my opinion, I think the market, if you can profile them, because you see when you profile it, it's you're timing it. I think that's the biggest thing people need to focus on. In my opinion,
like F1C weeks is mostly always going to be a consolidation. But
then it gives you a liquidity pool, so it's kind of sort of, well, if it's taken out that liquidity pool, what's left?
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
because people they have the equity, right, and you have that red folder on the Wednesday, and their equity's gone, and then what you see is Thursday, Friday is 1 way, and it's easy. Once you should have let that red folder go,
it's
and then
impatience.
That's what I say. Like, make sure you have it.
Would you say, Kyle, that even let's say you don't, is it necessary to get to that level of using that yields and bonds, etc.?
I don't think so.
People can
No,
stay
I don't
in
think
the,
so. It just adds confluence, right?
My analysis just starts on the yields first, and then if I find a SMT divergence between the triad, then I take the one with the SMT divergence and I just use the dollar index and see if it's going to give me extra confirmation. And that just gives me it's like a step before. So if I can get like a confirmation from that, then I'm using the dollar index versus euro and pound. And then I'm using the euro pound as well, the EG pair. So that's going to give me where do I want to be, what's likely to move. So all I'm looking for
is so needed.
Yeah. So when I look at that, all I'm doing is I'm just building the highest probability like trade.
Yeah.
I could get in there, and without trying to brag myself, I could get in there and I could trade anytime, any chart. Right? I can see what's going on. Does that mean I should do it? No, I'm looking at the best A+ setup, and even if I don't see a trade all day, like it's not meant, you're not meant to trade every single day.
It's about ticking the boxes, right?
Exactly.
Because
exactly
if you're looking at the yields, maybe I'm just listening to what the Fed's saying, right? As far as interest rates. But yeah, it's just about checking all those boxes of confluence. Whereas when you're first learning, you don't even understand the first box, right? Like I'm trying to check off market structure. You don't even know what market structure looks like.
Yeah, you don't know.
Right?
It's true.
I think that then what also happens is that once again you keep getting experience in the market. So in the beginning, I was just looking at euro dollar. Then I started also adding the DXY. Now I also look at the pound dollar to see, okay, what pair is heavier if I'm looking for shorts. Maybe in the future I will add the yields. Maybe in the future I'll add those are all things that
it's like leveling up.
You don't want to add things too soon, though. That's
you
the
don't.
thing. You don't want
and this is another thing, like especially with my students when they come in, they're like, there's so much information. Start with one thing, go back test it, collect the data on that one thing, whether it's an order block, a fair value gap, time of the day. When are your highs and lows created? Well, how many times have you seen the high of the day form in London and the lower day form in London close, right? Assess that. What day of the week has that happened on?
But that's what I think as well. At the same time, structured content is so important.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Last pod, it's like everybody's attention span right now is so
that's why
short.
I created the ICT.
So I have like a syllabus, right? And so I was like, it took me some time to make it, and I was like, if I was to just the bare bones of it, right? What is it going to be? Because, things like, the seasonal tendencies, they're good to use, right? But things like, chapter 1, month 2, 3, 4, there's so many things.
Yeah,
to
the
use.
risk
Overflow,
management.
this, that, open interest, whatnot, all these things, right? It's going to throw a beginner off. The first thing, in my opinion is, what do you need to focus on? In my opinion, it doesn't hurt to focus on build a high time frame narrative. These are the things. Then go into your profiling. Okay, I understand, these things is how I can tell, a bearish versus a bullish market. And then, keep just edging towards how do I get to predict each candle? Oh, because people say, oh, you can't predict each candle. Perhaps you can't predict each candle, but there are areas in price where candles become predictable. Yeah. So, for example, let's say you're bearish, right? And there's a bearish fair value gap. You get an up candle, or let's say you get 3-bar swing inside of a fair value gap. Where's the fourth candle going to go? Lower. Things like that.
Or if there's the weekly open, right, and it trades up, and there's no.
Where's the rest of it?
I made a post. Yeah, exactly.
I made a post on that recently. I was like, I showed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was like, people waste the equity on the Monday and the Tuesday. So first I drew Monday, and it was a very small candle, and then I drew Tuesday, and it was it was an up candle, and then Wednesday was just a wicky candle, and it was like a green to a red, and I was like, where do you think Thursday and Friday is going to go?
Yeah, the weekly open.
Those days where you can say, I know where that. So look at this is the easiest way to do it, right? Your daily and your weekly. Look at the weekly candle as the wick is forming. Right? Has there been a clear wick made in the Wednesday?
On either side.
Yeah, on either side of it. Okay, now look at the daily. Are you expanding somewhere clearly? Okay, those days where you know that the direction that's going to add to the weekly expansion, that's where you position yourself. That's it. Yeah. Simple. The bonds now, everything is secondary to that, in my opinion. Whatever.
The reason why people are failing is because they will look at you, what you just said, and they're going to be like, oh, so I can predict what the next 1 minute candle is going to do. And they're like, and it's like, no, we're not talking about minute candles. We're talking about weekly, daily, like maybe the 4 hour and the 1 hour. It's funny that every time I talk to a trader and they're like, oh, I'm not really yet consistent, I'm getting there, I'm like, okay, so what time frame do you trade? Oh, the 1 minute. And I'm like,
I think go up. It's because I think they see ICT trading the 1 minute, all of it, and 15 seconds, the 30 seconds. Now 1 minute is a higher time frame now, isn't it?
So you know, like you're probably one of the. Does anyone else have like investor capital here on the table?
No.
I know maybe looking in the future.
Yeah, soon.
But you have investor capital, right? So when you're approaching that, do you like break down the charts? You know, explain
No,
them,
you don't have to do that. You
just
don't
have
have
the track
to.
record
You don't
and
have to
that's
do
it.
anything.
They just
So
want the
you have to
return.
send out some CV. You have to send a CV, a track record. They don't ask you any. They don't ask you anything.
Imagine sitting down with an investor and trying to explain him all this
I
stuff.
know.
You don't send it to. Oh, okay. So if you're direct to the investor, yeah, but it depends how you're doing it. If you're with someone that is getting the capital for you, you don't send it to the investor. You send it to. So let's say me, middleman investor. The investor never sees the CV. They won't really see me. They just. That guy deals with all of it. He's making sure you're fit to do it. There's a lot more things that go into it. So like, you have performance hurdles. So the performance hurdles is, what they saying. So let's say by the end of 12 months, I'll return you 108% of your capital. Let me tell you some guys something crazy. Before these interest rates have gone up, they told me, right? If you told investors, like a few years ago when interest rates were like 2%, if you told them I'm gonna return to you 45% a year, they would like push chips.
A year?
Yeah, a year. Just they would push chips towards you. But now, of course, they're like 6-7%. I think now the average is around like 8-9%, and there's a lot more things to go. And like, so the performance hurdle, I'll return to you 108% of your capital. That means just 8% on top. It's just the terminology they use, and then everything on top of that. So let's say I make 18%. Now it's 10% on top, right? That 10% then, it's not all yours. This is what people don't understand. Like this is when I see people say it and like, oh yeah, I get that. I'm like, well, okay, bro. That's not really how it works when it's all regulated. Because what happens is this. It's not just 8% and then you give that back to the investor. The investor gets the majority of that as well, by the way. So let's say that 10%. Now that 10%, we can add that. Now we can see that 10% as 100%. Like 50% or 60% will go towards the investor as well. Why do they do that, right? It's because it incentivizes them to like increase their stake with you guys, and it keeps them coming back. They tell their friends, and you get more people on board. But that's the thing you don't realize. Now the rest. So now there's 2 more cuts left. The firm or the person. And then the trader. Usually in that circumstance, the trader will get the majority and the person doesn't. But the investor always eats the most of the thingy. So when I see these...
they're the ones taking the risk.
Yeah, when I see people saying, it's just things like terminology, right? It's like if you see a SMC trader calling a breaker block a mitigation block, you're going to like, okay, bro. Like, I don't know if this guy...
Institutional candle that pisses me off.
Yeah, like with these other rebranding names. So like when I see people saying, I'm return 8%, people will tell you, okay, 108% is going to be returned to you. Or the worst case scenario is you're going to get 90% back of your capital. That, in layman terms, is just a 10% drawdown for the year. What they really care about is your risk management. So even if let's say 108% return, right? Let's say you got to 6%, it's not really bad. But it's whether that person's gonna stay with you guys or not.
Yeah, it's like a 1-to-1.
But then there's things as well. Like it's so much more complicated. Like there's even before that, the AML is just like proper strict, right? So if they want to withdraw their funds, they have to. This is how they make the money, right? Because they have operational costs and stuff. They have to pay a fee. So let's say it's like a 1% fee or like 2% fee. Some people have fixed fees. That's to buy in, like to give money to you guys and to take money out. They make money both ways, on the entry and the exit. That's how the guy in the firm or the middleman, that's how they make the money. There's so many more things. So when I see people kind of say like it's a lot more simple, like
complicated.
By the way as well, there needs to be a level of regulation. Like you see a lot of people, Telegram is very notorious for this as well, especially in the UK. The UK is bad. I don't know about America. I'm not really in there. You see people saying, give me your like for example, let's say I go to someone that I know on social media, give me 50k of your capital to trade, and they'll sign up some dodgy contract on DocuSign or something like that, and they'll sign it over. That means nothing. In court, that will mean nothing. You're not allowed to take the funds. That's the thing. You're not allowed to take the funds or whatever. There's so many things like AML, right? AML stands for anti-money laundering. with a regulated firm, they can't just take any money. They can't take for example, a drug lord's money. It has to pass through the AML, whether they have the political power to pass it through, that's another story. But you can't just take anyone's money. It has to go through a thing. People, and another one is people of very high political power. They won't take their money. It's just too high risk for you like yourself. You're gonna have to answer these things. Like, regulation is serious. When I see these people saying, I take money off my friends and stuff to trade, I'm thinking, you're treading on thin ice, bro. That guy wants to report you, you're done. I think there was a story actually, it happened to someone. I know I'm blabbing on, it's the last thing I'll say. Someone in the UK, I think that happened, took $500,000, supposedly lost it, ran to Dubai.
There's nothing you do about it, right?
There's nothing you can do about it, but if he was in the UK, he would get arrested. Because you can't do that. There was two, I don't want to mention names, there was a very, gold wrapped car trader a few years ago on Instagram. I think he does the marketing stuff now. He done that, and he got hit with you have to pay back these funds, you owe these funds type thing. Because you can't take money, whether you say you get their consent, I give you the funds and trade it. And by the way as well, when you see these guys saying you can probably get to tens of millions, but no one's ever going to give you 10 million. You'll get lucky to get $1 million the first time round, or 2.5 million, whatever. Of course, there's scaling plans depending on whoever it is giving it to you, but hundreds of millions, I mean, you must have them. Because someone to give you 100 million, right, they need to be billionaires, because no one's going to give you 10% of the wealth. That's just over leveraging yourself. Would I give someone 10% of my whole net worth to thingy? That's an over leveraged position on myself. So,
especially off the bat,
you have to piece it off the bat. Is no way.
Unless they tell you that oil is going from 70 to 28 and it actually goes, then I'll give you all my money.
But no, they don't really ask for strategy.
No comment.
For strategy and stuff, they don't ask you how do you go do it. They don't care.
But I think it's interesting what you touched on.
They just want return. They just want to see return.
Once
it's drawn out, how much
they
am I
don't give
making?
a shit how you do it. If you can get it done, these people, they just want to, can you make me money? Okay, cool. Is this guy, is the guy that's got the operating it? Of course, the pressure's on him to make sure everyone's verified. Yeah, it's not the investor. Do you think these investors know how can someone that trades, that doesn't trade, verify someone that is a trader?
Yeah. But something you touched on there, which I think is very important, is people's expectations. Because I think even now, obviously, we have the evaluation firms and the 80% splits, etc. Cool.
You're never
exactly. Cool. But then even then, I think
it's the opposite. It's
you're not getting anything.
But it's even less. That's what I think he's touched on. Is that
because it's operating costs.
Yeah. Like you have the 108. Cool. So the 8% profit. And then a lot of people I think are under the assumption that if you made that agreement and then you make an extra 10,
you're not
20,
making
that's yours.
No. I thought that as well. I thought, you know what? You want I'm not gonna say the figure they want, but let's say they wanted 8%. You want 8%? I've had months I've done. Yeah. I had a 33% month. I'm gonna kill these guys. And then he's like, no, everything on top of that is invest against this much as well. And I was like, whoa, whatever. One thing I tried to do is negotiate a salary. That's something I wanted to really negotiate. Because let's be absolutely real, I could lose the money, right? I hope my risk management, I spoke about in the podcast part 2. A salary will just make me feel a lot more comfortable. This is me being absolutely honest. It's so many things, because now I also speak to guys that actually are in the same kind of realm with this stuff, but it's there's benefits and there's cons. Don't get me wrong, that capital that I have, you can probably go, and if you run the gauntlet or the prop firms, you can probably get that capital. You can 100 million %. What am I talking about? You can get you can get more capital, but then there's the things of the playing around with your payouts. There's a thing. There's also real networking benefits of these things as well. Prop firms don't also pay you a salary. I'm not on a salary right now. I'm negotiating. Yeah, that's about it. I think someone did introduce a salary. I think it's a little wage. I think
it's a little tiny amount.
Little tiny amount. It's still something.
Once you get into scaling,
consistency. I think it's still something.
I think it's cool, definitely. But I think salary wise, when on that level, you're probably trying to get an actual average wage.
For $100K dollars.
But it makes sense because obviously, like you said, the capital's at risk, and if you're still putting the time and effort in, it's hard on the investor side too, because it's don't you think you'll make money? But it's creates the ease for the trader also. So it's definitely I can imagine quite a common theme of having some form of salary, or at least people having those negotiations, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's only fair to offer a salary. I mean, the first year, it's like any kind of corporate life. You don't get the best salary at the start, and then you work your way up, you get perks. It's the same way. There was a guy though, yeah, I don't want to mention his name. This trades on. He made 50% on ES.
Wow.
50% on ES, and this was in July. So I don't know what he's total to now. I don't know if he just stopped, but 50% on ES, and he's been training for like 5 years. So I was kind of pocket watching, you know, okay, if I'm on this and this, it's getting me this, and he's been with them, 50% of the capital I think he's made, he smashed it. Must have smashed it.
Isn't it also different between private investors and, for example, hedge fund? This is maybe you'll have some information on, because on a hedge fund, it's a little bit more public. I don't know. But for example, I know someone that worked at a hedge fund, and basically what he said is that in August, they would tell him to take the rest of the year off because, hey, you already made 30%. Yeah. We don't want investors now to think that every single year they're getting 50, 60% return. They want their average to stay like plausible. And so
you see, so this is a conversation I had with someone as well that asked me about it because he's interested in going this route as well. A hedge fund isn't the only type of fund that will give you the trade. So you see, to operate as a hedge fund, it's not the main thing. So I'm speaking to, I'll show you guys after. It's going to be impossible to show the cameras, just so if you guys want to just like know more about it. You usually start with an investment fund. To get to a hedge fund level is not like FCA regulation alone is a tedious process. It takes, you know,
millions of dollars. Like
it takes, you need like, I think it's like £750,000 or like $1 million just for getting it all set up and stuff. You need some level of structure in the business or whatever, but that doesn't entail that's a hedge fund. It could be an investment fund, whatever. It's just, the thing is this, right? You have licenses when you go for these things. Like there's different facts. So for example, you can't just take someone's money and then say, I'm gonna go and open real estate with it. There's specific licenses for that may be real estate projects and that have. Then there's going to be specific licenses, because these are, I was asking like 1,000,001, I was doing these guys' heads in because I want to learn this game, isn't it? And then they were like, because I wanted to open like a prop firm as well, and I was like, oh, is this possible to do on the side? He's like, look, that's a whole different license and we can't do that. It's more time. We need this is the license we're going for. The license that we have is literally, we take money, the broker, don't want to mention the broker, and we just have the license to trade with it on the foreign exchange, or if it's the futures or whatever it is. That's it. You can't just go and do anything with it. Like I think it's even as specific as, I can't go and invest that money into crypto. I can't tell the guy, oh, you know, let's buy the dip on crypto, whatever. It's very specific what you can do with these licenses that people don't think. So when I hear these people, like, you know, they're saying, oh, because I think you've been trying to get into a hedge fund. Look at Jade, how how decorated he is as a trader. It's very, very hard, like, to get to like a hedge fund level. A lot of the time, you just start with like a way smaller level.
Yeah, so like I've actually been talking to a couple of people, and they're only going to allocate a certain amount to manual discretionary traders, right? And this is the whole part of the hedge fund, is they're not just one big arm of discretionary traders. They're not taking 100% of their capital and saying, all right, let's go find some traders, and then they'll hedge against each other. No, they have like other things that they're hedging against.
You're just a part of a portfolio.
Yeah, it's just a part of a portfolio. So like the manual discretionary traders, they might only allocate 2% of the fund to that, right? And then it's X amount of capital to each trader. But they're trying to hedge the risk that they have. So we are, you know, each individual aspect of that hedge fund is a risk to each other, right? So like the manual discretionary trader that's trying to return 30% a year, right? Maybe the algo is doing a little bit better, but the weighted average of it is X%.
You study finance?
Yeah, it's a business and finance.
Yeah, it's literally the most. It's what you learn if you do like a finance degree. You get a portfolio. The standard deviation is the risk in finance, right? You want it to balance out. You just literally, so like, I'll give you an example. Airlines do well at this time, and let's say food shops do well at this time. You'll build a portfolio so that they average each other out.
Yeah,
that is all they do on a very large scale, on a calculated scale. People think like, you know, these traders. Yeah, I'm trading for a hedge fund. Okay.
I don't think people know what a hedge fund is.
They're not the only entities that give you capital
they
to trade.
just think it's just money and you trade money. I think that's what people would assume a hedge fund is. So like, it's good to break it down for sure.
That's where I do think that beginner traders are doomed now, where you have information overload. If we turn it back to ICT, instead of learning one concept at a time, you have the information overload of the whole core content is there, the whole 22 mentorship is there, and so they just gull everything up and they never apply anything. Then you have on the gaining capital side, which is in the beginning of my trading, I was always like, okay, I'll get 1 year of track record, then I'll get an investor. Then prop firms came along.
Sorry to cut you, Kimmel. As well, I'm sure they probably asked you for this as well. It's not just track record they want, bro. They want a degree.
Do they?
Yeah, they want a degree. I'll show you. Like, it's a very...
What, specific in finance? Or?
Better if
I guess
it's
the guys I'm talking to haven't asked me about
haven't
that.
asked you?
I have a degree.
I got asked for a whole like a CV. So like your past experiences, whatnot, a bit about yourself, whatever. And they're like, you don't need a degree, but it's way better if you do have a degree.
I mean, that's the whole reason I never was able to break into like a prop firm market or investment fund or anything like that, because I didn't have the background for it.
Because when you like, hopefully you get it, Jade. When you get that role, right, for the fund that you're gonna trade for, they're gonna, like all the people, the traders, the discretionary traders, you're gonna be pitched like your fund. Okay, we have this guy, that guy. We have this new guy. You're gonna be pitched to people. So of course they want these accolades and these specific things to pitch to you. Okay, I just got a guy. Okay, what can you tell us about the trader?
Or it might even be pitched as a pool. Like, hey, we have this group of discretionary traders, and they're doing X% averaged over a year, and that's just part of the fund. And then we also have algo, we have arbitrage, et cetera, right?
But I imagine you pitch to an investor, okay, I got this guy off the street.
Yeah.
I got this guy off the street.
I saw he posted a payout certificate.
His YouTube channel. What were you
graduated
saying,
from
going back to
FTO.
the journey that you were at the prop firms?
Yeah, exactly that. Not you have the information overload, and so learning becomes more hard because again, you can't really focus when there's so much you can go for. It's harder to take the right path. And now on the finance side, when you're trying to raise capital, you're absolutely overwhelmed with the fact that, wait, so you're just getting to 20%? What do you mean? I can go for a prop firm and I can get 80, right? So the professionalism in trading has been completely removed, right? And this is not something that you can play around with. This can seriously damage your life, like your whole finances. And people don't take it seriously. And I think that now that's a big problem for beginners, the information overload and the fact that they don't understand.
To go full in, like these
this
things.
is my hedge, is trying to network with people and make connections in the industry and try and go down that institutional route, because what happens when prop firms go down? Well, now I have a hedge in my personal account. I have a hedge over here trading actual institutional funds. Like, you have to be able to weigh the downside risk. This is the problem, is like they don't see the downside risk.
Exactly.
And the thing is, also, prop firms, okay, what happens? Okay, I lost my MFF, I have 0 hours of all eggs in basket with those guys, right? I have 0. If I go to, let's say I go to SFT, right? Like, what happens if I blow 200k challenge? I can just go and buy another one.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
There's no
You
reason.
can't do that with these guys. You mess up badly. Kiss your chances. Goodbye.
Like,
That's
Ali,
it, done.
you done personal?
I just do personal.
We've never tried like props or anything?
Never tried props, but it's just when props came out a lot later. So I wish I had that when I started, I'm not going to lie, but when it was just personal funds, so literally it was just every month I'd just put in from my personal wages what I'd get and then funded it. My biggest funding came personally when I saw my own personal pharmacy. So I got quite a chunk out of that and I was like, all right, well, I'll put X amount here. And then obviously over the years, it's just, I do quite well with courses now and my sales I'm getting through mentorship and stuff. So again, there's
I rate that honesty, man. So many people, they just there's nothing wrong,
There's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with making money teaching, but just make sure you can trade. Because I think I hate these crappy educators, because the thing is, right, there's a whole market for educating as well. I myself, I'm in it. I'll be 100% honest, but make sure you're giving something worthy that's to someone that's going to pay you to learn. At least make sure you're going to shave
5 years before I even
make sure you're going to shave their, make sure, I say it all the time, right? Make sure you have something to show that some sort of, consistent payouts. One payout at Abbey Road doesn't do it for me. If I need to see at least 3 back to back and, consistent, like not
I
just
think the
Hail
issue
Marys.
too is like you can just straight gamble and get the certificate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
You
now
have to
all
know
of a
it.
sudden-
That's the thing.
Now
No,
all of
you
a sudden
can't-
I'm
the thing
selling
is,
education.
You can't fake knowledge.
Yeah.
If somebody talked to me and says, talk to me about ICT, I could sit 6 hours straight and talk every
yeah.
single component of ICT, top down, anything that you can throw at me, I'm giving you an answer off the bat. I'm not, any tweet I write, anything that my students are asking me, I'm not looking back through pages.
But you know, with that as
know
well,
what I mean?
right? Like, just to play devil's advocate, you see, with that as well, are people paying you to learn ICT, or I want to learn ICT to make money? Because a lot
I
of
think
people,
it's also like I want to learn ICT from this guy because I resonate with him more
That's
than
very
ICT.
true as well. That's very true. But I
Right?
think
Like
there's some-
Gene
Yeah.
resonated with me just because he's so stoic in the way he operates.
Yeah,
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast.
no F's given mindset, and
Yeah.
I like it, man.
Yeah,
But
but I think it's there's a difference between trading and there's a difference between being able to read price and
Yeah,
ICT.
100%.
It's completely different. You
Yeah.
could be the best. I struggled with it. I was brilliant with ICT. I couldn't trade for shit.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
I was so impulsive.
Same
I'm like,
here, same here. I
fair
show my
value
friends like,
calculator.
oh,
Yeah.
this is what the market's gonna do. This, and then I'm just losing my ass.
I was in like a phase, right? I could read the market, but you know, like I think one thing that's lacking in the smart money type field that we're in is our technicals. I think, yeah, if retail guys, because you know the majority of the institutional traders and whatnot, they're all retail guys, right? If they just learn, you know, the basics of you know, SMC. Because so this is how I had a conversation with someone about this, right? I was like, look at what keeps retail guys in the game, right? When I say retail, I know there's gonna be guys saying, oh, everyone's a retail trader. I know we're all retail traders. I'm saying the retail school of thought in terms of technical analysis, right?
Yeah, trend lines and whatnot. and all that, yeah.
What's keeping those guys in the game? I'm saying, right, our technical analysis is far superior.
Miles.
I say it's miles ahead
destroys it.
because you don't see those guys calling specific levels and whatnot, right? They just, you know, but what's keeping them in the game is the way that they're approaching the market. They have an approach. Like, okay, when I see this and I hit this, it's go time. If I see this, I'm cutting the trade. If I see this, I'm shaving risk off. If
That's
we
kind of
can,
what I noticed, and that I'm not. That's why I'm not like a cult follower
Yeah,
of
exactly.
ICT because
That's
I've
a
seen
100%.
legendary trade like Linda Raschke and
sick
other
traders.
people,
They've
just
never touched
insane
ICT.
traders. They're probably trading insane size, and they're just using Bollinger Bands and stuff. And you
but
know,
their
it's like-
process, they have a process
Yeah.
in place. A lot of ICT guys, they know the concepts, but they have no process into it. You know, it's when I developed a process, yeah? So
But
getting
that
it,
came from discipline, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. Most people,
Yeah.
even though they understand the process, they have a system, they have rules in place, but they're not disciplined enough to follow them. That for me was one of my worst
I think
problems.
Same here.
if that's a person, yeah, it's like if you don't work on it, you're a waste of talent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It's just
I
a waste
wasted
of
a ton of time doing that. You know,
Yeah.
just saying I was going to do something and didn't do it.
And didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because you know, in like the real
Like
world, right?
journaling, the worst thing in the world to do.
Hated it.
Everybody hates it. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna
That-
journal. I'm gonna journal this whole quarter.
Change
I would make
everything.
it like a weekend, and then next week just completely fall off.
How did you change that? Then?
Do it as you go,
just
man.
get sick. I get so sick of not making progress. That's the only thing that's gonna change.
So the pain
Like,
of
the pain of you wasting time and not making progress, and like now you're still at work and you see all the people making money trading or supposedly making money trading. You don't know if it's real or not, but you know that the prospect, the opportunity is still there, so you're still chasing it. And then it's just like, all right, screw it. I have to make changes and see if I'm gonna get the results, and if because at the rate I was going, right, if I'm not journaling, then you're never even gonna be able to tell if it's gonna work or not because you're not doing
You
it.
have to discipline yourself outside of trading first. And that for me was the hardest part is like, if I'm not disciplined outside, and I was a mess. I mean, this post-COVID, like during COVID, everything was a shit show.
Yeah.
And for me, I was working like knee deep in that shit during COVID. And psychologically, it was like, for me personally, I was the most lowest I've ever been. And I put on weight, man. I was like 16 stones and not good weight. My ass used to clap on the water. It wasn't even fucking good, man. So for me, I had to like, right, I'm sat here, right? And I'm trying to trade, but my life's falling apart around me. You know, I've got relationship issues going on. I'm out of shape. For me, like, and it's a question that I want to ask all you guys actually is like, was there any specific like moments where you thought, I need to change myself and become disciplined, or I'm just going to waste away here? Like,
For me, it was like I just gotten a new job, and it was like right after COVID, and they had promised me like a better work-life balance, and it was a terrible work-life balance. Like I thought it was gonna be great, chasing the six-figure career. Finally got it. It was terrible, and I was like almost on the cusp of
being a profitable trader, but I still was lacking a bunch of stuff, right? I already knew what I needed to do. That was the thing. I already knew what I needed to do. It was just like buckling down and actually doing it. And then like 6 months later, I just took the jump full time. And the rest is history. Like, it's like the inflection point we talked about on the last episode. It's like, I don't know what it is, but you just snap, and then you're just like, all right, I'm gonna do it now.
You just had
or
enough
it's never, right?
Yeah, you just had like with me, like mine was a bit personal. I had some very at the start of the year, like February, March, April. That was the best. My P&L was the best at that point of the year. I remember it still. Monthly fair value gap, DXY, buy side run. But like I was. I was making good money. I have one friend I speak to. I'm like, open. He's like one of my like good friends. Open, like I share, like, bro, like this is kind of a ballpark of what I made, whatever. And he's just like, but you know why you're not happy? Like you're not at your peak happiness. Because I used to like be a gym freak when I was like 18, 19. Watch the podcast with me and Riz, the first one. I'm thin. I'm no haircut. Look like a mess. You know, I was getting violated. And when I saw those comments, guys were telling me, this is tech support. This is the guy that I'm talking to on the end of tech support. I'm thinking, oh no, this is too much. This is I needed that. I needed that kick in the arse. And then I got back into the gym. I was like,
for part 2 he comes in. I'm like, who the fuck is this, man? This is fucking crazy.
Where's up with you?
You literally walked in like that. And I was like,
but I'm not joking. That done so because you know what it is, outside of trading, you need a life as well. Like, let's be real. It's like I'm starting to detach myself from. Of course, I'm gonna enjoy the thrill of being in a trade, shaving that risk. But break even feet up, and it's just running towards your take profit. But just see it as a means of making your money. Of course, you have to enjoy your job. I'm not saying like don't thingy, but I'm saying don't make it your personality.
Yeah.
Some guys, their personality is just their trading. So like I go to the gym, right, and a few people now because of the podcast and the social media presence, they recognize me and whatnot. I don't speak to anyone about trading. Anyone, like you won't catch me saying, oh, okay, yeah, you know what a fair value gap is, or have you seen that meme? They're having a conversation and the guy's saying it's like the interbank price delivery algorithm, this and that, like that. There's some people like that. Some guys are proper hardcore and they're always going to be hardcore. I say make a life outside of trading. Find the healthiest balance you can. At least pick up a second hobby. One that is, so the gym and trading has so many overlaps. It's literally, the only thing that's different is one is the gym and one's not. It's like if you go in the gym and you're over leveraging every lift, maxing out, you're going to break your back.
David Goggins says like going to the gym is not actually like strengthening your physical, it's your mental.
The gym, it's a story I wasn't even going to really tell because it's embarrassing. But like for me, it's funny now, but when I look back, it was a violation, man. But I got fat, right? And that was, when I say the gym for your mindset is so strong, is because I was all over the place. We're eating like, cakes all day long, right? And they were just getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And it was actually, I'll keep it short, but I went to Mecca a couple of years back and I wanted to go and climb Mount Hira, right? And long story short is where the Prophet used to go, and that's where he has this first revelation. And I just wanted to see it for the experience, just as a dude, I want to see what it was about. So I get to the foot of this mountain. I've not even climbed this mountain. Man's gassed. I'm out of breath. I'm like, yo. And I'm about 15, 16 stone by this point. I'm not hitting the gym. I don't even know why I attempted to do it, but I thought I'm from Cheetah Mill, man. There's no mountains in Cheetah Mill. I was like, how hard can it be to climb a mountain? Like, people do this for a hobby. Do you know what I mean? How hard can it be? So I'm like, all right, let's go, right? So I start climbing. I get about 25% of the way. I thought I was going to die, right? I thought, oh, shit, I'm going to have a heart attack here. This is hard. And then I see this guy selling lemon and sugar water, and I thought, oh, shit, this is what I need, right? I need some energy. So I go to him, and he's like, I've just run out. There's another guy, like, halfway up. So I'm like, yo, another... All right, so I thought, I'll do it. I get halfway. No word of a lie on my life. It was the same story. I've just sold my last cup. There's another guy, another 25% up the mountain.
Oh, man, rigged.
So I was like, well, I'm halfway up. What do I do now? So I get to 75% of the mountain, and the guy's closed his shop.
Oh, no way.
So I'm like, now I'm 75% up. But it was at the point, right, where, do you know, like, when you know
at least
you're
made you get to 100% in it?
Bro, yeah. This is what happened. I was giving up. I sat down, and I can't see straight now. And I know from being in medical and stuff, is like, I'm probably hypoglycemic. My sugar levels are really low. Everything's going blurry. I feel sick. Do you know when you've been in a mad gym session, you're going to throw up? So I'm lying down, right, on this mountain. I'm lying down, right? And like, I got my eyes closed. I'm gasping for air. I'm like, I can't, I don't know, how is paramedics going to get up this high? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to need one of them air ambulances thing, right? And then like, I see like the sun sort of block out, right? I'm thinking, what's that? And I look up and
ICT.
I swear. ICT, get the fuck up. It was even worse. I'm looking, I open my eyes, and it was even worse, bro. This woman must have been about 150. She's got wrinkles on wrinkles looking down at me. And this is the thing that I remember most. You know, like that face she made, like that, like, I can't even do it, like that, what the fuck? She had the same expression looking down at me, like, what the fuck are you doing down there? So I'm there like, oh shit, this is even worse. Like, this old ass woman's up this flipping mountain. I'm dying here on the floor. I'm 32 years old at this stage. And then this is what made it all worse for me, right? Instead of like even helping me up or saying, you know, you're all right, or do you want a drink?
Stepped over your body.
She stepped over me, bro. She just literally stepped over me. I'm there full on violation. Like, oh shit. That was the day where I was like, yo, you got to do something. This 8-year-old woman beat you up this fucking mountain.
But I think the hardest part about it all is like starting, man. Like, you know, like getting back into the groove.
Getting back into it,
you know, but I think as well, you know, when you're in a groove and you see yourself like, oh, I'm falling out of the groove. That's like the worst feeling. And then you get like a snap, like, you know, like in the films when like someone's like snapping back into it, then they're like an action film or something, a soldier falls, snap
it's
back
hard
into
to stay consistent over a long period of time.
It is. Yeah.
Breaks are definitely needed. Even in the gym, a deload is needed.
That's where I would step. I want to say two things. One of them is the I don't know if you've seen Limitless, the movie. Like again, he takes the pill. First thing that he does is clean up his house. Yeah. It's not like go to the charts, look at the data and so on. It's like, no.
Your outside life, right?
Exactly. Let me clean everything up. And to me, the way that I believe that you either start going up through desperation or inspiration. And to me, I think the most important one is actually desperation. That's why people say that your highest highs come after your lowest lows. And in the beginning of this year, the end of last year, it was funny because I actually genuinely believe that I'm very true to myself. I always tell myself the truth, even if it's like horrible. So it's been 3.5 years in my journey. I changed to like 3 communities or 4 communities. And even though I'm seeing like results at the end of the year, I can say, okay, I was profitable. I'm like, but you're not disciplined to stick to one thing. And then I started looking into ICT, and I was like, listen, you piece of shit. You either stick to this or you quit trading at all. Yeah. Because what am I going to do this till the rest of time? Yeah. Like make 50% with ICT, go on to the next thing, the best thing? No, it's like you finally have to stick to one thing and make that your ultimatum. And to me, what I always like to do is I like to always scan my life in general. And so at that time, my room was also super messy. I wasn't going to the gym as often. Like, still go, but not as often. And the reality is, once I started, that's why I think it's not that hard. And I would quote Jordan Peterson, which people say, again, controversial figure, whatever it is. It's like, clean up your room first. Because you've done this one thing now that is making you feel better. So if you clean this part of the room, you're like, oh, well, now I'm into it. So you start cleaning this part and this part. And think about that in your trading. Okay.
There's a book called Make Your Bed. It's by like an old Navy admiral or something. Yeah. And he said start with something small. One small task every day.
Super small.
But what you'll find is that habits build on other habits.
Exactly, right.
So when you started one habit, another one like me going to the gym, and then the eating came because I'm working my ass in the gym. I'm going to start.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like shit in the gym. Exactly right. Yeah.
And then that helps with your energy levels, your testosterone, and then suddenly you feel right. You know what? I can empower myself. Do you know what I mean? And when you take that mindset into anything, whether it's business, whether it's in trading, you're going to do well.
Again, like what you were saying though is you also need breaks. You don't want to just be like a full-on robot. Yeah.
I've taken a few breaks this year, if I'm honest. I've taken a few breaks, and it was recommended, and I promise it's the best thing ever. You know, like you can only go like so hard for so long. And you're gonna burn out.
That's why professional athletes, they have off seasons, right? Like,
literally.
Not playing
burnout's
all
a
year
real
round.
thing. Mental burnout, especially in trading.
It doesn't mean though in your break. It doesn't mean you fall off. It just means that you slowly detach yourself. You turn it down. Like athletes, for example, you know, the best ones, what did they do? Even in the off season, they go light, right? It's like you're trading. Like, you know, either really minimize it, just tell yourself, you know, like I got, you know, reduce your trade frequency as much as you can, or just take it all off, you know, not for a long time, you know, a week or something. These small things, because, you know, for our Sahabi, MMA coach. MMA coach. He has a really good
GSP's one, right?
GSP's one. So what he said was this, if I see a guy in the gym, right, and I'm going to make him do pull-ups, if he tells me he could do 10, I'm going to make him do 5 only. Why? Because the guy that can only go do 10, and 10, I'm saying 10 as an absolute failure, right? He is going to need so much rest until he can go again. But that guy can get 5, and then the next day 5, and then the next day 5. At the end of the year, who's going to accumulate more reps? The guy that's doing 5 consistently. It's the same thing with everything. You know, when you apply that, right? Like the same thing can be applied to all your walks in life, right? Apply that to not even your trading. Anyone that can be watching this, you know, any industry that you're in, just develop that type of thing, and it works really, really well. Like, we have this thing thinking, you know, if you take a week off, we're gonna miss so many opportunities. Are the trade opportunities we look for scarce? Definitely. It's not scarce by any means, right? It's just a mental thing. It's like, you know, when you take you miss like a day in the gym, you think, oh, my gains are gone. But it's all in your head. Body dysmorphia, whatever it is, right? It's the same thing with your trading. Your trading, take a day off, take a week off, and nothing's gonna happen. If anything, you probably save yourself from a loss. Your equity curve is not going to start declining given the time. It's not going to decline, right? Your equity curve is just going to get longer because the time aspect on the bottom, right, on the X is going to just thingy. But the Y-axis is it's going to stay the same.
But this is where it would be important for people that are listening to know how do you structure, or I want to bring this all to everyone, especially to Riz.
He does how many podcasts he has backed out?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got content for the next decade.
My guy's got a young baby as well.
So the question really is that people need to understand is how to approach a break, because again, like, most of us definitely don't feel that good in breaks because we're the type of people that we want to work.
Yeah, like 100%.
Like, I need to plan the break though. Don't just be like, I'm gonna burn out and then break.
August is a rubbish time to trade generally. That's why ICT takes it off towards the end of the year, because he knows that the markets are going to be.
August was actually like my best month.
You really know it. I didn't do much. I went away.
I had a big August last year, to be honest. I think that was my 50k payout.
No way.
Yeah, I think that was a 50. Yeah, 40.
If you plan
50.
it though, but the other thing is why I wanted just to touch on that point is that people who are trying to learn something as bad as, like, as big as ICT is, like, a ridiculous amount of information. If you take a couple of weeks out and just digest the information, like, I promise you, it just makes so much.
I feel like a lot
difference.
of people make this silly mistake, simple mistake, but silly, and so many people do it, is they try and learn and trade at the same time.
We all do
that. I'm like trying to watch the weekly commentary while the live market.
I tell people all the time.
I'm not even watching, and he says it all the time. He's like, "Don't watch this like Netflix." And it's just like, I couldn't help myself. The market's going.
It's a canon event. You got to get out of your system. Demo is not a place to learn what a fair value gap is or order block is.
It's a place to learn yourself. That's what the demo's about.
Demo is to practice your system. Once you have everything, right, and you've kind of back tested it, then you're going to forward test on it. The demo is like, okay, this is my plan. Now I'm going to, let me try. And some people learn a fair value gap and then they go, oh, I demo traded this fair value gap today. What are you doing? They think it's productive. It's false productivity. That's what it feels like. You're being productive because I'm demo trading now, but essentially,
I like demo. I think demo is something that people should incorporate.
Whilst you're learning.
Whilst you're learning, I think it's a good idea, because if you're learning a concept and you go in your demo account, you're like, okay, I can see how this is going to in a mock environment, and as long as you're collecting data and learning from that, I don't think it's a bad.
But why can't you tape read that? Do you see my?
Because I think getting the actual executing in a demo, and it has that sort of. That psychological, I know it's not real trading, and this is what I say to my students: either use demo or just get a really small amount of money in an account. You're going to use the same percentages anyway, so as you're going to scale it up, fine, you're getting real, like, sort of feedback.
But the only thing I have with that is, you see, the fair value gap needs to be inside context, right? You need to learn all these things for the fair value gap and order block to then make sense, right?
Yeah,
like for example, a bearish order block inside of a clear bullish day is not going to make sense. But now someone that's learned an order block, it depends, have they learned weekly, daily profiling before these things or whatnot? Because these are the things.
That's the thing is I would recommend is just turn off the live markets and demo trading and just study until you understand the concepts enough to even then demo.
If you've got 3 months and showing your demo account is gradually growing, and it's not stupid gains, it's incremental, then that gives you so much more confidence that if I do this in a live environment, I've done this for 3-6 months and I'm showing that what my strategy is or my model that I'm using at the time that I'm, like for me is working, it's showing the gains. So that feedback that you get, you take it into your live trading. I think psychologically.
I think as well, on top of that as well, I think one thing that's pretty underrated is, I'm not saying demos old school, but I think, the trial prop firms, those things, I think they're great because what a lot of people are trying to get into now is the prop firm industry, right? So you have a trial that is literally mimicking the real deal.
It's forcing you to have risk management.
Your demo is not mimicking the actual thing. Your demo is just literally just your own personal account essentially. But these prop firm trials, they're mimicking the exact environment. Of course, there might not be the slippage and whatnot. That's a different conversation. But the rules is it's the same as the actual prop firm. So I think that is a lot more productive if you're trying to go through. So like for example, past 3 to 5 prop firm challenges. Demo ones, the trial ones, and then you're not gonna really shit yourself inside of the real deal now. That's how I kind of think it might be a bit more
that's a good thing that the prop firm model now is unlimited trading days, because before the FTMO trial was 14 days.
It wasn't even
and it's like that is also still forcing you into the bad habits of, but I want to pass.
It's kind of a trick because it's half the time of what it
exactly
actually was.
It wasn't real trading though. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem with it. It's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
We're going to go into quick fire questions because we're near the end. I just want to reflect on 2 of the things that were said. One was in regards to making the bed, right? And I feel like it's interesting because you can also pick up negative habits. So you'd think, making the bed. Obviously, there's the little thing that helps, right? But then also you're kind of telling yourself a negative message of you can ignore things. It's not important. So I feel like people bring that to trading, Don't need to do the journaling. I'll ignore that. That mess that I know I need to fix right there, I'll just ignore that. And you've already built a habit through the everyday life.
Those negative habits compound too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And they seep into other areas you don't even realize. In terms of what Kimmel was touching on earlier, in terms of like efficiency, for me, for example, I just understand what needs to be done. I understand the goal. If you want to achieve greatness, you want to achieve results, you have to push yourself, you're accepting, and this is where I think a lot of people make the silly mistake in entrepreneurship, especially trading, is you're choosing one of the hardest industries and then you're surprised when it's hard. It doesn't make sense.
He answered everything. Like this is the main thing.
That's the whole thing. You nailed it.
Because it doesn't make sense. Like you're choosing the hardest path, so you better go and embrace that hard, understand it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard for a long period of time. And even when it becomes easy in terms of you're getting results, it's still going to be hard because you've got to maintain it. And if you want to grow it, there's more on the line as well. So now the pressure's bigger as well. In terms of me toning it down though, so like, I just recognize like this month, for example, has been absolutely insane. So I already know that come Monday, when my team go back to the UK, so like Wednesday, that's when I'm going to switch off, put the phone away, and then spend half a week with the fam. Even though the balance isn't there, like 25 days for 5. But it's just knowing that, okay, now's the time. Now I need to turn this one down. It's only down though. It's not like off. It's just down. And that's what, like with the off season, the ones who are the champions, they don't stop. They don't go start going clubbing and partying for 3-4 months, put on all this weight, and then have to get struggle to get back in the gym. They mean maintenance.
Well, let me add on to that. Obviously, like there's some freak of like natures that can do that. But don't, you know what it is? Lowball yourself all the time. Don't say, okay, I'm that guy. I can do this and that. Because what about if you're not that guy?
You're not. You have to
act like you're not that guy. Because imagine now you are that guy, right? But you're not fully turning it down. You're gonna be a beast. Like, do you see my point? That's one thing I just wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then in terms of the quick fire questions I had in mind, one was a reflection for you guys, I guess, because I wanted to go around table and then sort of just allow you to reflect on where you are now, because with this podcast there's a lot of high level knowledge, a lot of high level understanding of psychology and your journey and the trading industry, from technicals to the fundamentals to obviously the psychology and the knowledge of the industry, the hedge funds, the investor capital. So I wanted to ask you guys one by one, like, what was your first job? I remember we spoke about it in terms of...
Mine was Primark in my local high street, and I used to see everyone. So I got a job as soon as I finished my GCSEs. I come from like a disadvantaged background. My mom was like, "It's time for you to get a job now." I was like, "Okay." Like, I swear to God, yeah. I remember it was physics, the last GCSE exam that I sent. That same day, my mom was like, "I'm gonna tell my friend." Her friend worked in Primark. I'm gonna tell my friend to get your job. The next weekend, right? I was actually at Primark. I didn't even get a week to enjoy my summer holiday. I was just boom, straight thrown into Primark. I was at Primark for a year, and then I was at Tesco's, and then that's.
And how does it feel though to be doing what you're doing now?
You know, one thing I say is the best thing that happened to me was working these jobs. Do you know why? Because like it's just gratitude. I'm grateful. I don't take things for granted at all. Like when I say like when I hit trade, I'm like, you know what? Like I see things in time now. So like this trade, right? Let's say I made 12K PNL, right? On a week or a month. Let's say that's like 2 whole years of working at Tesco's.
I feel it like that.
Like, do you know, like that? It's unless you haven't worked, you don't understand how insane that is.
Yeah, that's what makes the journey worth it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, like all those moments, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then it's like it works. That's the best thing, because working those jobs as well. Working in retail, bro, you learn patience, because there's people. They used to walk into Tesco's. Where's the milk? Look at the board. Look at the board. It says milk, dairy. Like you deal with these type of people, isn't it? But no, it makes you really like grounded. That's the thing. It makes you grounded. Outside of trading, right? I don't really care about how well they do trading. If a guy is just a waste man, I don't care if you're the most profitable guy ever. Like I wouldn't want to associate or interact with you.
Definitely. What about yourself, Ali?
My first job I had literally finished college. I went to uni. I'd do 5 days a week in pharmacy school, and then on a weekend I'd come and work in Boots, and I was a little counter assistant working on the tills. I'm unemployable. So like,
we all are.
You can understand.
We all
you
are.
can understand. And do you know what the funny thing is though? Like after that, I went to like another job. I got fired from that job. Finally became a pharmacist. The funny thing is, before I even qualified, one of my professors in uni said to me that you're never going to qualify out of pharmacy. I ended up with the first. And the funniest thing is like all the bosses and managers and everything that I ever had, and I never see eye to eye with any of them. I mean, they all hated me. I couldn't understand. I'm unemployable. It's not their fault. But it was because of that why it led me to do what I'm doing now. Yeah. And then like when I hit my first, mashallah, 6-figure month, I was like, yo, do you know what? How long I would have to work in these jobs to get to where I am now. So it's like,
let me ask you something there. You know, if in the past when you're working your job, it could be to you guys as well, I know you haven't answered yet. Let's say it took you 3 years, right? If you knew the money you're making now from trading, if you knew like when you're profitable, it's gonna take you 10 years to be profitable. This is what you're gonna make now from a average trade, right? Or like a 2-to-1, for example. Would you work those 10 years of your job? 100% I would.
Yeah, 100%. It built character. It built me who I am today. So I'm proper grateful for where I've gone, because that journey of where I'm at now. Yeah. And it's like I was speaking to the wife now, like I gave her my card and she go shopping and she doesn't have to look at price tags anymore. And I said, she came with me on that journey. I come from Cheetah Mill. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have anything. So it was like to see where we've come. And do you know what I love about her is she turns around and she says, you know what, even though we've got the money to buy things, if it's not worth it, I'm not going to buy it, because I'm grounded from where I've come from. And that's what I love. And, that journey, I would not change a single thing to get to where I am. And by the will of God, I'm here where I am. So I'm appreciative there first. But I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, because that's almost hindsight. It's like, I went 2 years to uni. Would I go to uni if I knew that I was going to become a trader? Yes, because if I didn't go to uni, I wouldn't have had the friend that introduced me to trading. Yeah. And so it's like you're looking in hindsight and be like, I would have changed this. Yeah, if you change the past, you wouldn't be where you're at right now.
Or everything happens for a reason.
Or you don't know. But whatever. And for me, my first job was when I was 15. I worked at a restaurant. I was in high school, and my father was also like, okay, let's go get a job. But ever since I was like 14, I wanted to get a job, because I always looked up to like working for my money. And it was funny because my parents my father was a football player, but He did well for himself as a football player. My mother came from a more
football or soccer
player.
Is it rugby or soccer?
Nah, man, it's football.
No, that's good.
No.
JadeCap looks a bit confused, that's why.
Football is it?
No. I know we're from Portugal, so in America, the only people that call it soccer, so I call it football now too.
What did you just say?
Yeah, so ever since, but they were always hard workers. Always. And I always admired that in them. And I remember there was one time where there was a difference between a 10 euro trousers and 30 euro. And I really liked the 30 euro ones. But I knew that my parents were like making me buy the 10. But they still let me, like, if you really want the 30, we'll get you the 30, whatever. And I still got the 10 euro trousers. And when we got home, they were like, thank you for what you did. And I was like, yeah, because money means something. And when I got the job, I was working for 50 euros, which is like 45 pounds a weekend. And I was working like 20-hour weekends. So I was getting paid jack shit. But still, like, the fact that I actually got to work ever since the beginning of when I was legally allowed to work, actually 1 year before, but it just made my whole journey completely different. It's like now I look back into the trade that went back to break even, and I'm like, okay, that's almost like a year's wage in Portugal that I just wasted there. Which again, I think it gives you good habits and bad habits in trading. We could touch more on that if there was time, but yeah, I think to your point, I think that the past is, you should always be grateful for the past. It's why you're here right now. And yeah, to answer a quick fire question at a restaurant.
No, it's good.
So I got my first job when I was 15. I worked for like a catering hall. So after weddings, I would help set up weddings, help break them down. It was very tough and physical on your body, and just, I think from a young age, I always knew like working for that amount of money wasn't worth it. Just because to me, money is not worth as much as you think it is. Like the time is worth more, and your health is worth more, 100%. Right? Health is huge.
No one's enjoying life with a block nose.
Health, Exactly.
No one's enjoying life without a block nose.
It's true, you know.
Yeah, and then like going back to my journey, I wouldn't give back anything, because like everything I learned along the way, again with my wife, we started with nothing, and now like, she actually submitted her resignation letter like this past week. She's here with me. It's extremely grateful.
It's incredible.
You're gonna thank yourself like for putting in all that hard work. It
makes it so much more rewarding for you when you see like, okay, wifey ain't gonna go work anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's
huge, man.
But when you left work, like this is something I realized with myself. Like, how was your schedule? Like, I felt like
when I left work, I didn't give them any notice. I quit.
No.
The schedule was hard. The schedule was hard because like you go from a structured schedule, now you got ultimate freedom, right? Like, how do you make that transition smoothly? 100%. It's like, all right, now I'm just gonna start slacking off. It was very hard for me for like the first 3-4 months because I didn't have like the structure, and I just realized, all right, I'm extremely disorganized. Like, I'm not. I had good progress in trading, but it wasn't as fulfilling because you kind of just like all over the place. So yeah, putting that structure in place was hard, but it's necessary.
Did you find that Did you find that there was a lack of discipline when you came full time? Because, for example, me, I'm full time, but I only trade New York session, and it's like I have the temptation before because I'm at the charts the whole day because I constantly work at the computer. So I have like 8 hours after I wake up, 6 hours after my session ends to just tell myself, don't trade.
Yeah, that's
don't take
I
that.
I had to reach out to like a performance coach about it because the markets are open all the time, and I can't just sit there and just keep trading because the harder you work with trading doesn't mean you're going to make more money, right? Like a lot of times I would make money and then give it back by the end of the day. And at the end of the day, you just feel like shit. You're like, what?
All that work for nothing.
Exactly. All that work and all that time for nothing. I could have gotten out of my office, gone to the, left the desk and done something productive with my time.
Definitely. Well, guys, we've come to the end. I'm sure we could have kept going. It's always the case with the roundtables in particular, but even the podcast as well, once the flow's there. But I'm sure we can do it again. I appreciate you guys, by the way, all traveling out here. I know some of us were here for a events, but you guys
I thought
specifically
you're not
traveled out.
going to pay me for the podcast.
I know, yeah, you said you were paying us, bro.
This is my podcast now as well.
Give us a tenner, bro.
I really appreciate both of you guys coming out here specifically for the pod. It means a lot, and it was really enjoyable. We had some really great topics, and we managed to tame Ali.
Yeah, I know, man.
He's a savage, but we like it though.
Bro, I'm all over the place.
You can tell the knowledge is there, and most of all the passion. That's what matters.
Yeah,
and,
I love this shit.
That's it. And it's amazing to see it. There's not many people you see like that have that energy towards it. So it's good to see.
I think
as
I'll
well.
piss people off with it. That's my wife.
It's just hard.
She's like, get out, man. She couldn't wait for me to come here. She's like, get away from you for a bit.
That's it. Well, everyone. Obviously, we thank you to Omor NBB Trader. Thank you to Ali Khan, aka Ali ICT. Thank you to Kimmel Trading. Thank you to the legend Kyle, JadeCapFX, and thank you for tuning in. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. Who else do you want to see on the roundtable? Do you want to see these guys again? And until next time, take care.